following is a special Wayne Hills television sports presentation.
Hello and welcome to St. Joseph Regional High School for today's Big North football matchup between your Wayne Hills Patriots and the St. Joseph Green Knights. I'm John Vittas alongside Anthony Scudillo and Joe Rapp. So guys, it's been a week since that big win for Wayne Hills in Ramapo, shellacking the Green Raiders 36-14. But it's 7 days later now, guys, and Wayne Hills comes into another tough opponent on the road in St. Joseph, a game that really doesn't mean much in the standings. We all know what Brian Dowling did last week, rushing for 324 yards against Ramapo. So from St. Joe's perspective, Anthony, is their one and only goal to stop number 9?
Oh, I think it is, John, but I think that's every team's goal, and nobody's really been able to do it this season. I think coming into last week, Ramapo's goal was to stop Brian Dowling and try to get Kevin Olson to throw the ball, and the one time they did, he threw an interception. Now, there's no way to stop Brian. We saw Ramapo supposed to have one of the best defenses in the state. He had 3 touchdowns and 300 rushing yards. There's no way to stop him.
Well, they're going to have to face another tough defense today in St. Joe's, who's also very good. But St. Joe's comes in here at just 5-2 on the season. They're underachieving as far as their football history has gone this year. They've lost to a couple average teams, Ramapo one of them. So, Joe Rapp, my question to you, obviously Wayne Hills is probably the favorite coming in here today. But after the big emotional win, they're 8-0. This game really doesn't count for playoff seeding. But do you expect to see any sort of a letdown from Wayne Hills today, or are they going to get just as hyped up for this game?
John, there's going to be no letdown because the revenge factor is still here. I mean, Wayne Hills, they lost to St. Joe's. St. Joe's really contained them, including Brian Dowling. I'm sure they want to go out and have a big game today to prove that they can beat these guys.
Well, of course, Joe, alluding to the loss that Wayne Hills had, St. Joseph in Wayne Hills last year, got rid of that 55-game winning streak that Hills was so closely nursing with the 17-15 victory. But Kai Dominguez, O'Connor, the quarterback, as well as Kamal Hogan, all graduated. This St. Joe's team doesn't have the star power they did last year. So for Anthony, for Wayne Hills' side, who needs to step up today?
Oh, John, I hate to sound cliche or repetitive anyway, but it's going to be Brian Dowling because there's nobody else that really needs to do anything if he has a normal game per se, which is almost 200 yards this season. It's something incredible. You don't see it in high school football, and if he just has an average game, Wayne Hills is going to come out on top.
Joe?
Well, John, I think it's going to be Kevin Olson because, this game doesn't matter in the standings, like you both said. But I'm sure Coach Olson wants to give his son confidence going into the playoffs, let him throw the ball, because what do they got to lose?
Well, my key aspect of this game is the offensive line. I would say Brian Dowling, but Anthony already took that, and I don't want to sound cliche either. But the offensive line had their best game of the season last week. They had some replacement. Jason Avedisian came in to play offensive line, did a great job. The Twins did awesome last week, as well as Jake Shunky, Steve Ivkov, and Sam Schultz played a tremendous game last week. If they can open holes like they did last week for Dowling, I'm sure Wayne Hills isn't going to have a problem. But it's a game, like we said, that doesn't really count that much, and St. Joe's is a big, big team, and they, of course, recruit, and they have kids and resources that Wayne Hills doesn't have, so you always have to be careful playing them. But, guys, last but not least, what do you expect to see today from these two teams?
I really think Wayne Hills is going to pull this one out, maybe a low-scoring game, 14-10.
See, John, I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, Joe. I don't. I think Hills is going to put some numbers up last week. Their offense has been phenomenal, and it's been the Brian Dowling show, and I see that continuing tonight. I see him with 3 touchdowns at least. I think it's going to be 28-7.
Well, we've had predicted low-scoring games and the close games all year, but this game, I'm going to have to agree, it's probably going to stay somewhat low-scoring, but I also think Wayne Hills, I will agree with Joe, but I think Wayne Hills also is going to have no problem running the ball against St. Joe's. I know they have a tough defense, and I think they may be able to contain Dowling in the first half, but as time goes on, I think this Wayne Hills offensive line, as well as the revenge factor, will be just too much for the Green Knights here in St. Joe's tonight. So we'll be back with the opening kick after this.
First down, Horsell back to pass, excellent protection all the time in the world, looking downfield, looking for Van Peenan, triple covered, sticks it in there, flags on the play. Van Peenen ahead to the 20, looking for the sideline. He's across the 10, near the goal line, dives. Touchdown, Ray Van Peenen.
I don't care about next week. I care about today. I care about the next 28 minutes. It's our day to shine, our day to step up. Woo! Last week's over, next week's not here. It's all about right now. It's all about the 5 minutes. And all hell goes crazy. That's the attitude you gotta take after the win. Right? Got a green jersey on it and move, we're hitting it. Gotta get there. Let's go. Here we go.
Welcome back to St. Joseph High School. Anthony, we heard the pregame speech from Coach Olson. It was pretty exhilarating, really motivating these kids, reminding them that St. Joe's beat what supposedly is the number 9 team in the country in St. Peter's Prep, and telling them to get up for this game, even though it doesn't count for standings. And both of these teams have clinched playoff spots. Wayne Hills already clinched the number 1 seed. But Coach Olson reminding his boys that this is a very, very good St. Joseph's team, and that they are just as capable as winning as Wayne Hills is today. So it should be a great football game. So Anthony, my first question as we get ready for kickoff, Wayne Hills is going to return. Does the day game take away from the intensity a little bit? Because this is a primetime matchup.
John, I don't think so. In fact, a day game after a Friday night, Saturday afternoon game, I think heightens the intensity because you have to wait one more day to come out onto this football field and show what you really got. I think it makes everything a little more anticipated.
So, Joe, as we get set to kick things off, I mean, I asked you this before, but I'm going to ask you it again. Do you expect to see Wayne Hills come out a little less intense today?
Well, John, I said no in the pregame, and I meant it. There's going to be no letdown, John. They lost to St. Joe's. They don't want to do that. They want to prove to St. Joe's and all of New Jersey that they can beat St. Joe's. There you go, right there, right, Ant? Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Well, Brian Dowling and Troy Zaffino back to return. They've done a great job this year returning kicks. St. Joe's coming in with a record of 5-2 losses against Ramapo and Bergen Catholic. Both of St. Joseph's losses coming right here at home. So Wayne Hills trying to make it 3 for 3 in big home games, as this is going to be a short kick chip tie-up received at the 10 by Brian Dowling across the 25-30 and dragging defenders across the 35. So Wayne Hills will get the ball to start things off from their own 37-yard line.
Well, John, we saw last week against Ramapo, Dowling took one past the 50. So again this week, starting field position almost close to the 50. Great job by Brian Dowling, even though it was a short kick, making use of what was in front of him.
John, I'm trying to think, man. Like, you think they'll give it to Brian 46 times again?
You know what?
Think
if St. Joe's doesn't stop it, he will. And that's James Hogan breaking into the open field. Hogan across the 30, 20, 15, 10, and finally taken down inside the St. Joe's 10-yard line, all the way down to the 7-yard line. Wayne Hills runs the ball up the middle with Hogan on the first play, and they pick up a huge gain, and it's 1st and goal for the Patriots.
Say something.
Well, guys, you may be using Dowling a little bit as a decoy there.
John, I guess I was wrong.
I mean, Dowling could see the ball a lot today, but right off the bat, Wayne Hills going with number 3, the fullback James Hogan, who only has 24 carries the whole season, 119 yards and 3 scores for James this year. But obviously, Dowling is the guy everyone's keying in on. So Wayne Hills with 1st and goal from the St. Joe's 7. Hogan goes in motion. I formation, it's going to be a run to Dowling to the right. He's got room across the 5, and he's in for the touchdown. Touchdown, Wayne Hills. And they go up 6-0 after just 2 plays from scrimmage.
Well, John, they had to give it to Brian sooner or later, and he scored right there. Man, it's just like what we saw last week, guys. Same thing.
Well, Brian Dowling picking up right where he left off in Ramapo with the 7-yard touchdown run. We're not even 40 seconds into this game, and Wayne Hills is already up 6-0, and Mike Drees will attempt the extra point to try to make it 7-0 Wayne Hills.
Drees missed his first extra point last week.
Well, he's done a great job. That was his only miss so far this year. A nice job by Lowe to handle that low snap. The kick is through. So Wayne Hills up 7-0, 41 seconds into the opening quarter. And now St. Joe's offense will have to take the field, losing a lot of star power from last year. We saw Kai Dominguez burn Wayne Hills on several occasions last year, and he's graduated, as well as the quarterback O'Connor
Thank God.
and the running back Kamal Hogan. So obviously this offense with not the level of talent they had last season, and Wayne Hills' defense has only improved from last year.
Well, John, St. Joe's, I mean, they're a regional high school. I mean, they can recruit players from all over New Jersey, so they're always going to be strong every single year.
I mean, and you just look at them. They are huge kids. They have a huge size advantage on Wayne Hills, both in height and brawn. And this St. Joe's defense showed that they couldn't live up to the expectations, as the Wayne Hills offensive line had their way with them on that opening play, and again on the second play, as there were huge holes for the Wayne Hills backs to run through. And if Hogan had Dowling's speed, I'm sure he would have scored on the very first play. So Mike Drees tees it up from their own 40.
Mike Dreesy will be kicking off for the Patriots, deep for St. Joe's, number 1.
So if you told St. Joe's they were going to get the ball 41 seconds into the game, they would probably hope it came off a turnover, but instead Wayne Hills already up 7-0. Drees' kick is a short one by his standards, going to be fielded at about the 7. They drop the ball, a miscommunication there. Return man up across the 20 and taken down, a big, possibly touchdown-saving tackle made by Joe Lane. Otherwise, the return man could have been gone.
Oh my God, John, it could have been 7-7 right there. Joe Lane made, you can almost say, a game-saving tackle in the first quarter. They don't want to give the momentum right back to St. Joe's.
Definitely true, Joe. I mean, we saw that with Wayne Hills and Wayne Valley earlier in the year, and Wayne Hills' kick coverage right there, almost made the play inside the 20, but the return man was able to squirt through and almost break it. So number 7 senior quarterback Christopher Andrews will back up into the shotgun here on first down from his own 25, and it's going to be a handoff to the right. Across the 25 is Presley Bouvet, the senior running back, number 28. Picks up about 2, maybe 3 yards there. 2nd and 7 for the Green Knights.
Pick up about 3 yards on the play. It'll be 2nd and 7 for the Knights.
Well, Bouvet stepping in for Kamal Hogan, the running back. 109 carries for 690 yards. That's a 6-yard per carry average, and 99-yard per game average for Bouvet. 9 touchdowns on the year. So he's had a good season filling in for Hogan, but not quite up to the talent level of Hogan. But today we're going to see a different Hogan for Wayne Hills making plays, as the pass is going to go to the right. Complete there for a first down and more. That's Ricky June on the catch. The leading receiver for St. Joe's. He picks up 11 yards in the St. Joe's first down at the 39.
Well, John, we saw last week the pass is really what led up the touchdowns for the Wayne Hills defense, and that's something rare for this Wayne Hills defense. You don't see many scores against them, but it was the pass that really tore them.
Well, we've seen Wayne Hills shut down running back after running back, and if they're going to lose, it's going to be because of the passing game. Handoff up the middle, and look at Maxwell Havlush push the pile forward for a gain of 6. Havlush, the second leading rusher on the St. Joe's team, averaging 53 yards a game, 374 and 2 scores on the year. So he will spell Bouvet from time to time.
You know, John, you can argue that this game is more important for St. Joe's than it is Wayne Hills, because if St. Joe's loses this game, they're going to be 5-3. You know, 5-3 doesn't look good on a St. Joe's Region high school football team.
It definitely doesn't, John. I mean, this team is known as a winner all through North Jersey, and they beat Wayne Hills last year, but they had 2 early losses this year. That's a good pass from Andrews. Dropped by the receiver, Bouvet, the running back, coming out of the backfield on the wheel route. And Andrews dropped it in there perfectly, but Bouvet couldn't stretch out and make the play.
Andrews threw a great ball there. I mean, you got to catch the ball, John, in a game like this. You got to catch it.
Well, it's going to be 3rd and 4 for the Green Knights from their own 43. As Andrews runs out the play call.
3rd down and 4.
2.5 minutes into the opening quarter. Wayne Hills already on top, 7-0. McDermott, the receiver, to the near side. 2 tight ends set for the Green Knights. Andrews in the shotgun, going to hand it off to the near side. Bouvet coming around the corner. What a play made by Wayne Hills. Corner Mike Drees, 28, coming out of the secondary to make the play in the backfield. And St. Joe's is going to have to punt.
No gain on the play.
Well, Mike Drees shooting through that linebacker level and into the backfield, a loss of 1, as that play looked to be developing for Bouvet, but to no avail as the punt is going to be taken on a bounce by Monahan. We've seen him do that too many times this year. Fielded at the 23-yard line. Monahan constantly feels the need to pick the ball off the turf with defenders all around him. Anthony, questionable decision from your boy Monahan.
The only thing I could say there, Johnny, was preventing it from rolling any farther. It looked like it was going to roll by him if he didn't pick it up. So again, even if he just picks it up and goes down at a knee, it's better field position. Some games come down to field position. I'm not quite sure if this one's going to go down to that today, but I'm not truly angry at that choice.
Well, it hasn't burnt him on any times this year. Is Hogan going to take the same play to the left side and pick up 6 yards? So again, Coach Olson using Dowling as the decoy and picking up positive yardage with Hogan.
I guess it's a good play. I guess it's a good idea for James. I mean, we really haven't seen this consistently throughout the season. So, but it's good to see him do well early in the game.
So 2nd and 4 for Wayne Hills from their own 31. Lowe and Zaffino split wide to the right. Olsen under center on 2nd down. Handoff to Dowling to the right, and he's going to fall forward for a gain of 2, maybe 3. It'll be a 3rd and 1. But Coach Olsen going with the exact 2 same plays on both drives.
Well, they've been working the last 2 weeks, especially last week. But this could set up Anthony's favorite play, the play-action pass. There's a chance. I see him shaking his head, too, so I guess I'm right.
Joe, 3rd and short. I'm not looking for the play action pass. You get 2nd and long. That's when the play action pass comes into play.
All right, you're right. I'm a soccer expert, Anthony, not football.
Well, Joe did the soccer game on Monday, and he fulfilled his duty as the soccer expert. So, Joe, I know different games of football might confuse you. So it'll take some time to make the adjustment. As Dowling up the middle, there he goes. Say goodnight to number 9. Brian Dowling gonna take it to the house, and Hills is up 13-0. No flags on the field, and Wayne Hills up by 2 scores, and we're not even halfway into the first quarter.
Well, John, just looking at both of these teams before the game, you could tell that St. Joe's had the bigger linemen, but Wayne Hills, just the athleticism and strength working for them there, and Dowling hits the crease, goes right into the end zone.
Well, we saw the Wayne Hills offensive line have their way with Ramapo last week, and they are doing the exact same thing to a bigger St. Joe's squad.
Well, John, it took them the whole game last year to score 15 points, but now it only took them 4.5 minutes to score 14. So I guess they're playing better.
That's a great point, Joe. I mean, 15 points last year. Obviously, the St. Joe's defense not playing up to par with what they did last year over at Patriot Stadium, as Drees' extra point is perfect. And with 7:39 to go in the first quarter, Wayne Hills already up 14-0, and St. Joe's is shocked. So we'll be back with the kickoff after this.
4 wide receivers set fly back to pass. Throws a ball, and it's going to be intercepted by Rodney Drees. Drees has a cakewalk into the end zone, and Drees brings it in for the touchdown. What a turn of events, folks.
Back here at St. Joseph's High School in Montvale, New Jersey, Wayne Hills jumping out to a 14-0 lead to shock the Green Knights. So, Joe, shocked to see this start, because right now St. Joe's looks real sluggish and they find themselves down by 2 scores.
I am, John. I thought St. Joe's would come out with a little bit more intensity in a game like this. I mean, like I said, they don't want to finish 5-3. 6-2 is a solid season. But I really can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
As good as Wayne Hills has played all year, this is a shock to all of us to see how much they've dominated. I mean, they've had 5 offensive plays and 2 touchdowns already. Kickoff going to be taken across the 25 up to about the 30. So that's where Andrews will start the second drive of the night for his Green Knights. We saw them pick up a first down on their first drive. What do you expect to see St. Joe's do here, Ant?
Well, if they watched any film this week, they know to go to the pass. That's the only thing that really worked.
Well, we know Wayne Hills linebackers are always up to the task of an excellent run game, and they shut down Ramapo's run game last week. 7:33 here in the first quarter. Hills in their 4-4. Pekarski shows blitz. Andrews, the left-handed quarterback, back to throw. Complete across the 45, up to the 50-yard line. Ricky June with his second reception of the game. A gain of 20 yards into St. Joe's first down. Well, Joe, you know a thing or two about this Green Knight quarterback. Where is Andrews from, Joe?
I think he's from Queens, John. Queens.
And what told you that?
The paper. There was a big story about him in the paper.
Well, Joe told me that, since he couldn't elaborate on his own point, Joe told me that
You didn't let me elaborate.
Well,
I could.
I did, and you didn't. Well,
You want me to do it?
that guy from Queens in the under center hands it off up the middle, picking up a first down. It was John Sanford, the junior running back. 11 yards into St. Joe's first down, so 2 plays here for the Green Knights, and they pick up yardage. So, Anthony, you might have been right. Joe and I both predicted a low-scoring game, but right now it looks like it's all offense.
Well, Joe's is yet to put points on the board, so it's only Wayne Hill's offense right now.
But I think it took Ramapo 3.5 quarters to get 3 first downs last week, and St. Joe's has already done that in 6 minutes.
They watched their film.
Andrews under center again, rolls to his left, that's his strong side, and hits the receiver for another completion right around the first down. That looked like the tight end coming out from his position. So they're going to give St. Joe's the first down, a gain of 10 yards.
John, we're seeing something new this week. Jake Shunke, the starting, I think, left guard, has been playing nose tackle.
Left tackle.
Left tackle has been playing nose guard, switching in and out with Roberto Alvarez. So something new there for Wayne Hills.
Well, Joe Lane is in the game right now at defensive tackle to join Alvarez, which is what their lineup was last week. Andrews out of the shotgun, going to keep it himself. Alvarez in pursuit. Hogan can't get there. A flag flies as Andrews gets out of bounds after a gain of 9, but it could be coming back.
On the play.
But guys, I mean, we saw John Robertson torch the Wayne Hills defense in Paramus. Andrews looks to have that running ability, and so far on this drive, at least, Wayne Hills hasn't had an answer.
Joe, you know what I'm surprised to see? We really haven't seen a team this year that plays Wayne Hills throw the ball consistently. And we've seen that St. Joe's and Christopher Andrews likes to throw the ball early in the game.
He does. I mean, that's a great point. Joe Robertson had some nice throws down the field against Wayne Hills, but certainly nothing consistently. And probably the main reason for that is because of how good Wayne Hills' pass rush is. Quarterbacks don't have time to throw it down the field, but Andrews has had that ability today, and he's also shown coolness in the pocket because on that last throw, or even 2 throws before that as well, Peter Davies in the Wayne Hills pass rush was bearing down on him. So Andrews will be in the shotgun on 1st and 20 after they mark off the holding penalty. Andrews looks over the middle, throws a touch pass. He's got his man. First down and more inside the 10. 5. Touchdown, St. Joe's. Patrick O'Connor on the touchdown reception. That's a 34-yard hookup, and St. Joe's cuts the Wayne Hills lead in half. It's 14-6.
You wouldn't be surprised if St. Joe's went away, but they're not going to go away in a game like this, John. They found a wide open receiver for a score.
Well, John, clearly they've done their homework this week. Going back and watching the film against Wayne Hills, Ramapo was really only able to throw the ball, and you've seen maybe 1 or 2 runs here or there for this St. Joe's team. It's been mainly passes, and when you have a quarterback like St. Joe's does that can run the ball and throw it, that's exactly what they can do, which we saw with Paramus.
Well, Robertson had the most success of any offensive player this year against Wayne Hills, throwing for over 200 and running for over 100. But outside of him, this Wayne Hills defense has been absolutely locked down this season, and that was a very impressive drive from the St. Joe's offense. But the biggest thing to me was Andrews being cool in the pocket, because Wayne Hills' pass rush has aggravated every quarterback they've played this year. And Andrews, although the pressure was getting in on him, he was able to get away good balls, especially that last touchdown pass where he laid it in there perfectly for the tight end. So Joe's will kick it off, only down by 7 now, trying to weather the storm of the Wayne Hills running game. And Andrews having a surprising start here. He's only has a 47% completion percentage on the year, only thrown for 612 yards. That's 87 yards a game. Certainly not impressive numbers. But today, I mean, he could be over 100 already.
Maybe, John. I think he will have to be over 100 for St. Joe's to win the game.
Oh, well, certainly. I mean, he's going to probably have to get over 200 if they want to stay in this game, especially with the way their defenses look so far. I mean, you could make a big a deal as you want about this St. Joe's passing game, but if Wayne Hills continues to run the ball in St. Joe's, it's not going to matter. So once again, Dowling and Zaffino back to return. Dowling has taken control of most of these, and he's going to take this one as well. Another short kick fielded at the 10. Dowling heads toward his left, up the middle, across the 30, and taken down at the 35. A nice tackle there from St. Joe's, and once again, Wayne Hills will start from their own 35.
That's another reason why Wayne Hills is successful, because Brian Dowling keeps getting them in good field position to start off their drive on a kick return or punt return.
Well, the special teams for Wayne Hills has always been a strength in addition to their great run game. And in the last 2 years with Mike Quinn, a great pass game. So that's where Wayne Hills will start from their own 35. Olsen in the shotgun for the first time today. Wayne Hills looking to spread out the offense. It's going to be a double reverse to Dries. Dries gets a block from Hogan, and that play wasn't going anywhere. Dries gets back to the line of scrimmage, so it'll be no gain. So Coach Olsen dialing up some trickeration there, but it didn't work.
We really haven't seen that much this season, John. I mean, St. Joe saw it perfectly. They made the tackle to not give Wayne Hills any yardage.
Well, we don't usually see Coach Olsen mess around like that with cute offensive plays, but he tried it there. I mean, everything's been working so far, so he gave it a shot, but St. Joe's with good pursuit from the linebackers. And now Olsen's going to hand it up to Dowling. He's going to fall forward for a gain of 5, so after messing around, Coach Olsen goes right back to the bread and butter, which are handoffs to Dowling.
Is he going to do it on this play?
Probably. We've seen him run it on 3rd and medium all year. They did it a lot against Ridgewood. I would not be surprised to see Olsen run the ball on 3rd and 5. But it's going to be a sign of how confident he is in his son to throw the ball here, because his first pass last week was an interception in the red zone. But it come out in the I formation, one receiver to each side, and it's going to be play action. Olsen going to throw it deep over the middle for Dries. The pass is overthrown. Mike Dries and Eugene Lowe were both covered tightly, and Olsen's pass couldn't fall in there for Dries, and they're going to have to punt the first stop of the game for St. Joe's.
We've seen Kevin do that most of the season. He's got to get better. If they want to win a championship this year, he can't afford to overthrow his receivers.
I mean, if a team can stop the running game, it's going to come down to Olsen. And so far this year, he's had a mediocre season, to say the least, for just a sophomore. I mean, he has a 54% completion percentage, 831 yards in 8 games, so not lighting up the stat sheet. But when you look at his touchdown-interception ratio, as Dowling can't handle that one, he loses the ball. Dowling trying to pick it up, and St. Joe's will recover. They're looking to take it in for the touchdown, but they're going to be stopped short. They return it all the way back to the Wayne Hills 5-yard line. We've seen Wayne Hills with trouble on long snaps all year, and finally Brian Dowling couldn't handle it, and he couldn't even recover the fumble, and St. Joe's in prime position to score.
Wow, I really can't believe what just happened. What happened on that, John? Can you tell me, please?
Well, we've seen problems with the long snaps all year, especially on punts. And right there, once again, Brian Dowling couldn't field it off a hop, as he's had to do all year. And then he couldn't recover it. He had plenty of time to recover, but just couldn't get a handle on the football. And St. Joe's laid out Dowling and took it back the other way for another 10 or 15 yards.
What was that?
So it's going to be 1st and goal from about the 3-yard line for Joe's.
Andrews working over center.
They're in their goal line formation as a man goes in motion. Handoff up the middle to Bouvet, who dives in for the touchdown. As quickly as Wayne Hills went up 14-0, St. Joe's ties it up 14-0. What an offensive quarter. And with 4:31 still in the first quarter, we're tied at 14.
Well, John, clearly the momentum has shifted to the St. Joe's side. I mean, they got a lucky break, and they just ran it in. That's what they have to do when they're that close.
Well, what an eventful first quarter of action here from St. Joe's, as they're going to try to tie it up here. The snap is good, hold is good, kick is up, and true. So just like that, the Green Knights tie things up at 14, and all the energy has switched over to the St. Joe side of the field.
And besides that, John, unfortunately, my prediction is wrong, so I won't be right this week.
You're never right, Joe. Even as much as you think you are, you're not right.
I'm always right, Anthony.
Well, right now, Anthony's the only one that's even in the vicinity of a correct call. Because, Joe, I didn't give a score, but Joe and I both had low-scoring games, and I thought Wayne Hills would have their way today. I mean, of course, I didn't expect a blowout, but I'm surprised by how vulnerable their defense has looked so far. Not just the defense, but special teams. I mean, that last touchdown wasn't really the defense's fault. But we haven't seen Wayne Hills' defense or special teams look this sloppy in a long time. I mean, maybe last year against St. Joe's was another game that comes to mind. As I believe Divers missed a couple kicks in that game too. Am I right?
I think so. How about the state championship game? We saw that exact play at the state championship
That's very true, Joe. State championship was probably the sloppiest game you've ever seen Wayne Hills play, but you could always blame that one on the snow. There's no excuses today. I mean, it's very cold. It's probably in the mid-40s, but it's daytime, and the wind's not too strong, so really not much of an excuse. So for the third time today, Wayne Hills is going to get a chance to return a kickoff. They've done a pretty good job today on the kicks. Haven't really broken anything too spectacular to this point. And it's going to be an onside kick. Davies picks it up, and look at Peter Davies showing some hands. A huge heads-up play by number 40.
It was Anthony wants.
Well, John, he was pointing to a player in the St. Joe's huddle before the kickoff. Looked like he knew something was going to happen. Glad he was prepared there.
Well, Peter doing his homework, knowing the hands team for St. Joe's. A very gutsy call from Coach Carthage to go for the onside kick there. And you know what? The kicker executed it fairly well. But Davies heads up was able to come back and make the play, and he didn't even bobble it a lick, because if he did, St. Joe's was right there to make the play. So give all the credit in the world to Peter Davies. Olsen hands it off to Dowling to the left side. Look at the push from the offensive line. Dowling picks up 8 yards, and I mean the St. Joe's defensive line was driven back 5 yards before they even had a chance to touch number 9.
You just can't stop him, John. No team has done it yet, and I don't think any team will.
I mean, they just get such a great push. They open up huge holes for Dowling. Give them credit. Jake Shunke, Jason Avedisi, and Justin Avedisi, and Sam Schultz and Steve Ivkov on this offensive line have been money all year. Casey Cardux has had his share of big plays earlier in the year before he was injured. So give all the credit to Coach Claudio and his crew up there, as they've had a great season. Dowling up the middle, not much there. We might have jinxed it a little bit, because St. Joe's wasn't fooled on that handoff. Dowling falling forward for a gain of 1, so it's going to be 3rd and 1 for Wayne Hill. Certainly 4-down territory for them.
I think St. Joe's is expecting that. I don't know about you.
Well, they definitely are. It's just a matter of whether Wayne Hills can execute up front, as the clock ticks down under 3.5 to go. But Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the most points Wayne Hills' defense has given up all year.
I think you may be right, John. I think the most is
last week
14.
Last week was 14, and Valley scored 16, but 7 of those were special teams, as the pass is incomplete, intended for Dowling. A good ball there from Kevin Olsen, but it was tightly covered from St. Joe's, and it's going to be 4th down for Wayne Hills.
Dowling's looking for the pass interference call, and so am I. The cornerback didn't turn around. He just put his hand in front of Dowling's face. In most leagues, that's pass interference.
Well, regardless of whether it was a penalty or not, it was good coverage there from the Green Knights, and Wayne Hills bringing in their punt formation. A shock to me on 4th and a long 1 in St. Joe's territory. This is a situation we've seen Coach Olsen go for it on just about every time he's faced with this down and distance in the opponent's territory. So Dowling going to punt it away. Plenty of time on this one as they set up the return. Going to take a hop at the 13. Going to bounce inside the 10. Look at Dowling with the beautiful punt. Going to be down at the 2. Great roll for Dowling. A 44-yard punt, and St. Joe's is going to be backed up inside their own 2.
That's exactly what Brian Dowling wanted to do, get it inside the 5, and he certainly did. Now St. Joe's has some work to do.
So the Green Knights take over deep in their own territory.
So St. Joe's with a 1st and 10 from their own 2, we'll call it. Andrews leading his team out there, having a great day so far, passing the ball. Like we said, Andrews only averaging about 80 yards a game passing, and today he probably already has that. 2 receivers to his left here on 1st down. Wayne Hill sticking with the 4-4. Looks over the middle, throws it deep this time. Zaffino on the coverage, what a catch! It's going to be made across the 30-yard line at the 33. What a catch from St. Joe's. A 35-yard hookup, and Andrews moves the chains again.
Oh, what a perfect ball by Andrews. Put it exactly where he needed to be, right in the receiver's breadbasket.
Well, right now, I'm wondering if Andrews was hurt. Where was this production earlier in the season? He looks like a primed and polished quarterback, and his numbers don't reflect that, but he's had an awesome game here today.
John, I think one thing is Joe's is taking advantage of the height advantage on the outside over Troy Zaffino and Brian Dowling.
Absolutely, Anthony. Their receivers have a good 6 inches on everyone as Massey makes that tackle. A gain of 7, pass complete to O'Connor. But Anthony brings up a great point. Troy Zaffino is 5'9", and that receiver's got to be over 6 foot for sure. I mean, all their receivers are around 6 foot or taller. And that's a big advantage because Troy's coverage wasn't bad right there. But the pass was just too perfect, and the receiver went up over Troy and made a great catch. So 2nd and 3 for Andrews. They go in with a hurry-up offense here. Going in motion is McDermott. Handoff to Bouvet along the far side. He's got room to rumble. Bouvet across the first down marker and more. Jimmy Kenny makes the tackle along with a host of Wayne Hills players. But another gain of 7 for Bouvet and St. Joe's, and they move the chains once again.
Clearly, St. Joe's has all the momentum on offense. I mean, they're just pushing the ball at the Wayne Hills defense, line safety. I mean, they're just doing a great job executing right now.
Well, it just shows that when you can pass the ball, the run game will open up for you. As great as Wayne Hills linebackers are, when you're thinking pass and then they go with the run, it's hard to adjust to, and something Wayne Hills' linebackers haven't had to do ever because they've just been so dominant against the run and they haven't had to face a real good quarterback. Andrews, handoff up the middle, another huge gain. Hogan got pancaked, and that's a gain of 13 yards. Monahan finally brings him down, but John Sanford with a gain of 15. Sanford, Havlish, and Bouvet are picking up big yardage on Wayne Hills.
First time we've seen it to do it all, Wayne. Excuse me, John. St. Joe's the first team to do that all season.
You know, John, I also think this is the first team that's really got a great initial push on this Wayne Hills defensive line, giving Andrews time as well as the running backs.
Well, that's another good point. The St. Joe's offensive line has been as stout as any we've seen this year. Wayne Hills' defensive line has disrupted everything all year, and they're just not getting there today. Another great job by their offensive line, as Havlish is going to push forward for a gain of 5. As that right guard opened up a hole, that was Joe Lane's area of the field. As Shunky's in there as well. That was actually Shunky's spot on that play as Lane is in there. So 2nd and 5 from the Wayne Hills 34. As Ricky Cleese checked into the game as well. Handoff up the middle. Cleese there to make the play along with Pekarski and Massey. Havlish again on the carry, picks up 3 yards. It'll be 3rd and 2 for St. Joe's, a pivotal play.
Well, Ricky's a good friend of mine, John. I've been talking to him all week. He said he's had a great week of practice, and he said some of the other guys haven't had as stellar practices, so it's good for him to get his opportunity here. And not only that, you know, just bring in some fresh legs. And, well, now it's the second quarter. The first quarter has ended, so maybe just needed to get somebody refreshed to get them into, you know, keep them going so they can play through the whole game.
Well, you know, it's really nice to see a 4-year player step up late in his senior season and earn a starting spot, as I believe he might be replacing Dom Santoro or spelling Jimmy Kenny as well, because Pekarski and Massey aren't coming out, as well as Hogan. But Ricky Cleese could probably start for almost any other team at linebacker. And it's nice to see him get some playing time as he made the tackle on that last play. But a big 3rd and 2 here from inside the Wayne Hills 30 as we will get set to start the second quarter. But real quick, I mean, guys, a real surprising first quarter. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, St. Joe's have done a great job balancing their offense. I mean, they can run, they can pass, and moving the chains on either play.
I mean, Andrews has impressed me. I mean, obviously, St. Joe's is going to have primetime talent on receiver and the lines, but it's hard to find that quarterback that has all the tools as well as the it factor. I mean, we haven't seen Andrews make any exceptional throws, but he's been on target with just about all of his passes today, and you can't knock him at all. He's played phenomenal, and the receivers have made the catches, and the running backs have ran through the holes. You really can't complain too much if you're Wayne Hills if you're St. Joe's on offense, but of course their defense hasn't looked good against Dowling and Hogan.
We'll be calling the winner as the end.
So we'll call it a 3rd and 3 from the Wayne Hills 32. A huge play, as it's probably going to be a 4-down area for the Green Knights. So they'll probably have 2 plays to pick up this 3 yards.
So the ball is spotted on the Wayne Hills 32.
14-14 here from Montvale, New Jersey.
Long 3 for the Green Knights.
2 receivers to the left. Andrews under center. A slot back on the right side as the tight end goes in motion. That's O'Connor.
Andrews working out of the center.
It's going to be a handoff to Bouvet at the middle across the 30, right around the sticks. I think he has enough for the first down, but it's going to be close.
I think he's going to get it, John.
Bouvet scooting across toward those sticks. It looks like they're going to measure, and they will.
Timeout, they're gonna call. Have a
But
measure.
Bouvet, along with Andrews, his numbers haven't been great either. I mean, he's averaging 6 yards a carry, which is obviously very good. But 690 yards, nothing compared to Brian Dowling's 1,200. But Bouvet looks like a pretty elusive runner.
He looks good out there, John. What can you say? I mean, we see that Andrews likes to pass the ball a lot, and Wayne Hills hasn't thrown the ball a lot this year.
Well, it's going to be a first down for St. Joe's. They did have enough on that run. So again, another first down for the Knights. So 1st and 10 from the Wayne Hills 28. And we'll see if this defense has an answer, because right now
10 for the
they're getting pushed around.
ball on the Wayne Hills.
11:40 and counting in the first half. Andrews will be under center again. I formation this time. Bouvet up the middle. Huge hole in Moore. Bouvet first down in Moore inside the 10. And finally taken down right around the 9. That's a 19-yard run for Presley Bouvet. And another first down for St.
I
Joe's.
mean, John, you got to give Bouvet credit. I mean, he found a hole that his offensive line gave him, found a seam, went to the outside, and got inside the 10-yard line.
Looks like
Bouvet is a very quick runner. When St. Joe's bringing a lot of talent here in the backfield, and Wayne Hills hasn't had to deal with a running back this quick all season. And right now, St. Joe's is working everything, the pass and the run. 1st and goal from the 9. Wayne Hills' corners step up to play bump coverage. Andrews in the shotgun. It's going to be a give to Bouvet coming to the near side. Pekarski chasing him toward the pylon, but he's in. Presley Bouvet gives St. Joe's their 3rd touchdown of the day, and they take a 20-14 lead on Wayne Hills.
It's kind of like what we see with Brian Dowling. I mean, St. Joe's just gives Presley Bouvet the ball every single time, and it leads to a score.
Well, John, I went to the DePaul St. Joe's game at DePaul, and we saw Bouvet just has explosive speed, and that's what he used to get to the corner there and to the back of the end zone. Now, one thing Wayne Hills needs to do, they've seen that St. Joe's has started to shut down the running game a little bit. You know what that means? That means Kevin Olson's going to have to make some nicer passes. He's thrown into, good man coverage right now. He's going to have to find a different receiver, start spreading the field a little bit.
Well, Kevin Olson's going to need to make throws today. That's becoming increasingly evident here after St. Joe's goes up by 7 and absolutely shocking this Wayne Hills sideline. But I did not expect Bouvet to be this explosive. I mean, he just burnt Russell Pekarski because Pekarski did a great job of fighting off that block, and he was in perfect position to make the play. But Bouvet ran right past him, and there was nothing Russell could do. The blocking from St. Joe's receivers has been good as well. And right now it's just been the Andrews and Bouvet show here from St. Joe's. This is the most points Wayne Hills has given up all season to any opponent, whether it's through offense or special teams. Paramus, 17 points. That's the most Wayne Hills has given up all season. And right now St. Joe's has 21 points in 13 minutes of play.
Honestly, I feel like it's a 21-0 game right here, John. I don't even remember Wayne Hills scoring because it happened so fast.
That's very true. St. Joe's has put up 21 points in a hurry. Wayne Hills dominated the first few minutes of action, but since then it's been all night, and Wayne Hills is going to have to do something to answer right now. They need at least a few first downs on this drive to try to even out the momentum.
Kicking off for St. Joe's.
I mean, a great return would be just what the doctor ordered for Brian Dowling and Wayne Hills. As Dowling really hasn't gotten going. He really only has about 6 to 7 carries to this point. As he had, like we said, 42 carries and 324 yards last week against Ramapo. And right now, he's had a couple of nice runs, but nothing really too substantial to speak of. This is going to be a chip. Might go out of bounds. And why is Zafino fielding that ball? He's going to take it to the other side of the field, cuts it back at the 20, has space across the 25, and taking down at the 26. But that ball was about to go out of bounds. He practically scooped that ball across the line. That would have been Wayne Hill's ball at the 35, but instead they're going to get it from the 26.
Well, you can call that a questionable call, John, but I don't know. I don't know why Troy did that.
I mean, it's a mystery to everybody. Even the people here on the St. Joe sidelines are saying, what did he do that for? I mean, we saw it last week when the Ramapo kicker kicked it out of bounds. It's not the 40 in high school, it's the 35. So that decision is going to cost Wayne Hills about 9 yards. 1st and 10 for Olsen under center. Hogan's the fullback. Zafino goes in motion. They give the end around to Troy, trying to find room, and it's blown up in the backfield. Troy Zafino hit for a loss of 4.
No, John, sooner or later, Coach Olsen's going to have to sign Kevin some passing plays, and they're going to have to throw the ball. There's no question about it.
I mean, like I said, it's becoming more increasingly evident that Wayne Hills is going to have to throw the ball if they want to win today. Because, I mean, Coach Olsen's going to every type of run play he has in his playbook right now. And in the last couple of drives, St. Joe's is just eating it up. So now it's 2nd and 14 for Wayne Hills.
Kevin Olsen, a quarterback.
So Dowling dots the I. He goes in motion, splitting out wide to the left. 2 receivers to the right. Olsen looking to throw to the right. It's going to be a screen to Massey. Massey makes the catch, picks up about 11 yards, gets across the 30 to about the 33. So a nice gain there from Wayne Hills, but Massey was 1 broken tackle away from making that an even bigger play.
No doubt, John. He could have had 6 right there if he just broke that last tackle, and even close to a first down. I think it's 3rd and 3.
3rd and 3 after that 11-yard pickup.
For the Patriots.
So usually you see that screen go to Dowling, and I'm sure Dowling probably would have made that an even larger play, but Massey did a nice job of getting 11 yards and making it a very reasonable 3rd down. This is a huge play for Wayne Hills. It's going to be a screen to Zafino. Makes a nice catch. Great block from low, but Zafino's going to be taken down right around the sticks. I think he has enough. He does. Troy Zafino picks up 5 yards and a Wayne Hills 1st down. A great job by Eugene Lowe to get out there and stalk block. And another good play from Zafino to bring that ball in, because that was not a perfect throw from Olsen.
Well, I like the Hills offense right here. They're finally straying away from just running the ball into 8 defenders every time, spreading the offense, and that'll allow you to run later in the game.
Well, that would have been a disastrous play if Zafino couldn't make that catch, because Eugene Lowe made a great clear out for Zafino. It's going to be a fullback draw to Massey, and there's nothing there. Eaten up in the backfield by St. Joe's. A loss of 2 on the play. Dylan Moore on the hit. And it's all falling apart for the Wayne Hills run game right now.
Like, I think they got to pass the ball. Nick Massey got a taste of his own medicine, because that's what he usually does.
That's true, because right now Coach Olsen is going to everything. Screens, bubble screens, reverses, double reverses, runs up the middle, runs outside the tackles, and right now St. Joseph's defense has stepped it up. So 2nd and 12 for Wayne Hills. Eugene Lowe split wide to the right, Dowling in the eye. Zafino goes in motion. It's going to be a handoff to Dowling. Nothing there. Dowling stopped for no gain. The run game's not working. 3rd and 12. Kevin Olsen's going to have to throw it.
He's going to have to throw it, John. I mean, like Anthony said, they keep going, and they keep, St. Joe's keeps putting 8 guys in the box, and Wayne Hills can't run through them.
We haven't seen Wayne Hills in a hole this big all season. They were down in the 4th quarter against Valley, but they were still in control of that game. Right now, this game is in full control of St. Joseph. Kevin Olsen's going to have to make plays today, and this is his first chance. 3rd and 12 from their own 35. 3 receivers for Wayne Hills. Olsen looking to the right. He's going to roll. Pressure coming. Throws it over the middle. It is going to be incomplete. intended for Dries. He would have been short of the first down anyway. Heavy pressure coming on Olsen, and he couldn't make the completion, and Wayne Hills is going to have to punt.
Kevin saw the defender come on his left, and he had to roll out to the right. He had no choice, and he hit Mike Dries in the hands. It was a pretty good throw off balance, but they wouldn't have got the first down anyway.
What a change in performance by the St. Joe's defense. They looked so dazed after those first two drives, and now they've just come alive and absolutely stuffed this Wayne Hills rushing game, which has been unbelievable all year. Another bad snap. Dowling handles it this time, but he gets away a bad punt. Going to be fair caught at the 35 after a punt of just 30 yards. St. Joe's going to have great field position from their own 35. Joe?
And the win right now is in St. Joe's favor. The win is going in Wayne Hills' faces right now.
It is going from left to right, so certainly might have batted that one down a bit. But Brian Dowling, 1,273 yards on the season, 16 rushing touchdowns to go with 270 yards receiving and 6 receiving touchdowns. Not one player on St. Joe's is ahead of him in any of those categories, receiving or rushing. And right now, Bouvet looks like the better back. He goes in motion here on first down. The fullback's going to take it up the middle. Nothing there. Greenfield, along with Davies and Lane, eat that one up. No gain on the play. So now it seems like we're settling into a more defensive game, as we haven't seen a big offensive play in a couple of series. So now after the storm appears to be over, St. Joe's comes out of it up by 7, and now it's going to be up to the defenses to stop these high-powered offenses.
I mean, Wayne Hills really hasn't had a test this whole year. It looks like they found one.
It's going to be a good game that will probably come down to the wire today. So stay tuned. 2nd and 10, Bouvet in motion. Andrews in the shotgun, looking to throw over the middle. Completes it across the 40 and first down and more. Look at Patrick O'Connor run over Nick Massey. We never see that. Usually Nick Massey's laying other people out. But O'Connor took Massey for a ride of 6 yards, and St. Joe's has another first down.
I mean, St. Joe's can really do whatever they want on offense right now. They could pass, they could throw, they could pass or run. I mean, Wayne Hills can't stop either of them right now.
The offensive game plan has worked great for St. Joe's. They are running receivers out of the backfield, and Wayne Hills does not have an answer for it. Andrews, no one open. He's going to run for it. He's got space, and he's going to be taken down by Davies after Hogan had the initial hit. A gain of 4 for Andrews. 2nd and 6, but a great job by Davies to come over after Hogan made the initial stop but couldn't wrap up. Davies came over from the weak side and made a great play on Andrews, but Andrews picks up 4. And guys, Wayne Hills, a very predictable defense. You know they're going to come out in a 4-4 and not blitz, and it's worked against every opponent. They shut down everybody, but St. Joe's knows what they're getting from this Wayne Hills defense, and they have the personnel to match it. And so far, they've just executed better. We'll call it 2nd and 5 for the Green Knights. O'Connor in motion again as St. Joe's is going to call a timeout. Coach Carthage furious with his, looks like Bouvet or Andrews. He didn't like what he saw there from the set. And O'Connor looks like a very versatile player. I mean, we see him setting up as a tight end. He's listed as a tight end, but he caught that pass over the middle and made a nice gain out of it after the catch. We've seen him blocking, and we've seen him catching deep ball. So O'Connor, who could, I could be wrong, but he could be the brother of the quarterback last year. I'm not informed of that. But O'Connor, who was graduated, was the quarterback for St. Joe's last year, and his younger brother Patrick could be this tight end that we're referring to right now. So with 5:33 to go in the first half, St. Joe's has a 2nd and 5 from the Wayne Hills 49.
From 1987, and Coach Carthage's 300th career win.
As we just had word from the PA address that Coach Carthage has recently acquired his 300th career win, which is quite an accomplishment. I mean, you have to be a coach for decades to get that milestone. So Andrews under center, handoff to Bouvet to the left. Not much there for him. Pushes the pile for a gain of 3, maybe 4. 3rd and 1 for Joes. But guys, this is something we've seen Wayne Hills' running game do all year. When nothing's there, they fall forward for 3 or 4. Defensively, they've been able to stuff teams for nothing. But even when Wayne Hills' defense makes a good play, St. Joe's backs fall forward for 3 or 4.
Well, that's going to happen because St. Joe's is a very skilled offensive team.
1 to go.
And I really don't know what to say right now, John. I'm completely shocked. 21-14 Joes.
As I'm sure the Wayne Hills fans are, because no one expected this. Andrews under center on 3rd and 1. Handoff to Bouvet. 1st down and more. Oh, he's stopped after a gain of 2. He was so close to breaking that one to maybe the house. It looks like he's going to get the 1st down, but Massey brought him down by the ankles as they blow it dead.
I think they're going to have a measurement.
They're going to measure it, actually. My mistake on the call. Bouvet only got 1 there. Getting across the Wayne Hills 45. I think he has enough for the 1st down, but they're going to measure it just in case. So Ricky Klieg running back onto the field. He'll be in the game. They measure, and they're short. Short by a couple of inches. So a huge play here from Wayne Hills' perspective. 4th and inches as Massey hurdles the chains. Klieg checks right back out. As I was assuming, Coach Olson thought they had the 1st down, and they brought Klieg in for that 1st down package, but now they're going to stack the line on 4th and inches. I'm sure you'll see a bunch of Wayne Hills defensive players, and it looks like Jason Avedisian has checked in, loading up on defensive tackles. Andrews under center in the eye. It's going to be a QB keeper. Not much push from either side. Andrews might have enough. They blow it dead. Just a good old-fashioned rugby play right there. Going to depend on the spot, obviously. As Andrews looks to be injured, they give St. Joe's the 1st down, but the quarterback's down and in pain. Andrews is writhing on the turf. This could be huge.
This could be huge for both teams.
Well, Andrews is up now and hobbling off the field as the backup's going to have to get warm in a hurry. Andrews is going to have to come out for at least 1 play, but he's still in pain. They're going to have to check out what looks to be a knee injury, and who knows what happens in those piles.
He might have rolled an ankle, John. You know, he really had nowhere to go in that pile.
Well, it looked like it could be a knee injury. Andrews in a lot of pain as they're going to help him over to the bench. It's at right knee he's holding on to. I wouldn't be surprised if something happened in the bottom of that pile. Whether it was intentional or not, Andrews is off the field. So 1st and 10 for St. Joe's with a backup quarterback in there. I don't even have the backup quarterback's name.
Timeout, St. Joe's.
I should have been more prepared, but whoever it is, I'm sure they have some talent because St. Joe's recruits, and they're going to have at least 2 or 3 able quarterbacks on their roster.
Yeah, but still, you're missing Christopher Andrews, been the MVP of the game so far. I mean, he's been your playmaker, and it's going to be tough to replace him if he is out for the rest of the game.
Joe, I got to agree with you. He's probably been the best player on the field so far today, along with Bouvet.
50-50 tickets, please.
Has all the attention on the sideline of St. Joe's, so a timeout on the field. We'll be back with this.
Purchased for this quarter now for delivery before Thanksgiving.
So with 4:09 to go in the 2nd quarter, St. Joe's leads Wayne Hills by a score of 21-14. But most recently, Christopher Andrews, the starting quarterback for St. Joseph, has been injured and is on the sideline.
22, Dane McDermott.
Dane McDermott will run the Wildcat for St. Joe's. Going to be taken up the middle. McDermott with 5 yards more across the 35. A gain of 9 for McDermott.
The left side of the
Look at the wide receiver, number 22, senior Dane McDermott, pick up 9 yards and run over Wayne Hills linebackers.
I think they made that may be a good process to work, John. If Andrews is out, just go to the Wildcat.
Well, McDermott is running that Wildcat right now, so obviously St. Joe's backup quarterback not up to par with Andrews as far as passing is concerned, as it looks like they're going to stick with the Wildcat here on 2nd and 1. And now St. Joe's is going to have to call a timeout as Coach Carthage is furious again. It looked like they had 12 guys in the huddle. So they're going to have to call another timeout here with 3:30 to go. But Joe, if St. Joe's continues to run time off the clock, Wayne Hills is going to go into the locker room down.
And when's the last time we've seen that?
Last year,
Giant Stadium.
it's been a year since Wayne Hills has been losing at halftime. Or was... I mean, the Valley game was the last real tough call Wayne Hills has had. And that was in week 3 of this season. But Ramapo was the last time Wayne Hills has been blindsided like this. I mean, Wayne Hills wasn't completely blindsided today because, I mean, we knew St. Joe's was a great team. But a cheer here from the St. Joe's sideline as it appears Christopher Andrews has checked back in. I could be wrong. He's not in there on this play. But Andrews is up off the bench, stretching things out. So 2nd and 1 for Joe's from the Hills 35. McDermott in the shotgun out of the Wildcat. Going to take it to the right, and they blow this one dead.
Flag on the play.
I'm not sure what the call is. It's going to be a false start on St. Joe's. That's a big penalty as that'll back it up 5. So 2nd and 6 now for Joe's as here he comes. Christopher Andrews back into the game for St. Joe's on one knee, hobbling back into the huddle.
2nd and 5 for the
A big lift.
You think Hills might blitz here, John?
They
Welcome
might.
back into the game.
Yeah.
2nd and 6.
He can't run right now. He can't get out of the pocket.
That's a great point on passing plays. Andrews isn't going to be able to scramble. That's a huge part of his game, but he's going to throw it here complete. Around the 35, he might have lost the first down. Backtracking, that was June on the catch.
Pass complete to
He's going to be about a yard short, so that completion makes up the penalty yardage, but it's going to be 3rd and 1 for the Knights.
John, looking at June, he kind of reminds me of Kai Dominguez in a way. Tall, lanky, great hands. I mean, could be him for all we know in a different uniform.
Joe, don't say that. No one wants to hear that from Wayne Hills. Kai Dominguez is a curse word. And June does remind me of him as well. Handoff up the middle to the fullback. Havlish met immediately. He's going to be short.
Havlish on
So it's going to be 4th and about 1 for St. Joe's. Great stop there from the Wayne Hills front. But Joe, a big part of Andrews' game taken away if he can't run is the backup quarterback is still warming up on the sideline just in case. Andrews going to be in the shotgun here on 4th and 1. A surprise there, working out of the shotgun. It's going to be a handoff to Sanford, trying to find the corner, and he does. Sanford with the first down and more. A gain of 7 yards in the St. Joe's first down all the way to the Wayne Hills 28.
John, you see this throughout the first half. If St. Joe's has to make a play, has to get that extra yard and more, they're going to do it.
Well, the St. Joe's offense has been just as impressive as last year, if not more impressive. A gain of 7 yards with 2:16 to go in the first half. St. Joe's 29 yards to go to the end zone. June split wide to the right. Andrews looks toward him. Going deep. June beat the corner. It's Dowling. Incomplete. Dowling was absolutely burnt by June. June faked the inside route and bounced it outside toward the pylon, and Andrews just overshot him.
Oh, Wayne Hills caught a break there. June was wide open. He beat Brian to the corner of the end zone, but Andrews just overthrew him a little bit.
Dowling got absolutely burnt right there. We don't see that from him at all, and June was wide open for the touchdown, and Andrews has to be upset with himself after that throw.
2nd and 10 for the Green.
I mean, that didn't even have to be a strong throw. He just had to lay it in there, and he had June wide open. Of course, Dowling with great closing speed got in there in a hurry, but still June had plenty of space to make that play. So 2nd and 10 from the 29. It's going to be a run to the right side, initially stopped, but Sanford's able to pick up about 3 yards. But the clock is running now with 2:03 to go. St. Joe's already burned 2 timeouts in this half. Actually, they burned all 3, so they can't stop the clock right now. It's running now under 1:54 to go. 3rd and 8 for St. Joe's from the Wayne Hills 27, but they can't control the clock anymore. They need a first down to stop it. Andrews going to run it to Bouvet. Bouvet cuts it back to the inside, gets across the 25, and he's met hard there by Greenfield. A gain of 5, but there's a flag on the play, and it's going to be coming back. So a big break for the Patriots. That one's coming back.
That was a great play by Greenfield. I mean, he had to step on him, but Greenfield just threw him to the ground. That's a big play.
Well, Bouvet finding holes. Wayne Hills' linebacker pursuit's been there, but they're just not quick enough to match Bouvet's elusiveness. But Wayne Hills catching a big break. It's going to be backed up. So instead of 4th and 2, Wayne Hills is going to accept the penalty. It's going to be about 3rd and probably about 16 to 18 with 1:34 to go. And then they're going to back it up all the way to the 40. That's a 12-yard penalty. So it's 3rd and 20 for St. Joe's. Andrews in the shotgun. Wayne Hills trying to get a big stop. Andrews looking to throw deep for McDermott, incomplete. Zaffino on the coverage. St. Joe's wants a penalty, but they're not going to get it. So they're going to have to punt now. So after being close to field goal range or close to the first down, Wayne Hills steps up and makes a big stop. But it looks like St. Joe's is going to go for it. Nope, now they send the punt team out there.
And Andrews got hit there, clean by Pete Davies. Came in unblocked. Nice coverage there by Troy Zaffino, too, to get a hand inside on the wide receiver.
So
I
was so close to saying
for the Green Knights, Joseph Chucky.
So St. Joe's will punt it to Dowling. Obviously very dangerous. I would expect to see them kicking away from him. It's going to be a low average kick. Dowling going to let it roll inside the 5. Going to be down at the 2, maybe even the 1. Great punt there as the punter pumps his fist. So with 1:07 to go, Wayne Hills backed up at their 1. Not much they can do from here. Probably just going to do a couple running plays and take it into the locker room.
Well, Brian Dowling doesn't need much time, John.
So they're going to mark it. I mean, the back of the ball is practically on the goal line right now. With 1:07 to go, Hills down by 7. They just got to hope they don't get backed up into a safety. So we'll see if the rush game can get anything going. Olsen under center, fullback dive, picks up some positive yardage, a gain of 3, maybe 4. We'll give 4 yards up to the 5. As it looked like Massey on the carry. It was Massey.
Picks up a couple of yards.
So 2nd and 6 for Wayne Hills with 48 seconds and counting. They're not going to use any of their 3 timeouts. So I'd like to see Brian Dowling get a couple shots out of here.
You will.
As he's been shut down so far. Dowling going to get a carry to the right. He has room across the 10, first down across the 15, and knocked out of bounds at the 16. So a gain of 11 for Dowling there. It probably his longest run of the game. And it's going to be a first down for Dowling and Wayne Hills. And the clock will stop with 29 seconds. 7 yards. That was the longest run. My mistake, Judd. He did have that 70-yard touchdown run I forgot about.
I forgot that one.
I
It
did.
was really in the game, John. I bet a lot of people forgot about it right now.
Could be true. I mean, Dowling's going to take this one up the middle. He had a hole, but it's closed quickly. That's probably going to do it for the half. Gain of 2 or 3 there for Dowling. 18 seconds and counting, and it looks like Hills is going to let the clock run out here. And they will. So, after a very competitive 24 minutes of action here from St. Joe's, Wayne Hills finds themselves down 21-14 heading into the locker room. A surprise here from St. Joe's on a Saturday afternoon. Guys, what can you say about this half?
I could say that St. Joe's has dominated Wayne Hills offensively. I mean, the receivers are a lot bigger and stronger than our cornerbacks, and they just beat us so far.
Joe, one of those touchdowns was off a mistake that really gave Joe's the ball at the inside the 5-yard line. So other than that, I think Hill's defense has really shut it down, and I think they're going to continue to play hard. And as long as they keep stopping them on the defensive side, mainly Andrews, and if they can do that, I think they'll be okay in the second half.
Well, to me, the surprise is Chris Andrews. He was not supposed to be a lethal threat throwing the ball, and so far he's had his way with Wayne Hills' secondary. If St. Joe's can continue to do that and run the ball effectively with Bouvet, it could be a long day for this Wayne Hills defense. Offensively for Wayne Hills, they need to get the run game back involved, but more importantly, Kevin Olson's going to have to make some throws today to make them not a one-dimensional team. And overall, Wayne Hills just needs to be better on defense, because right now they're getting manhandled by St. Joe's offense, and St. Joe's defense has completely turned things around after the first few minutes of the game. So it's going to be a very interesting second half, and we'll see which way the ball falls for either team. It's going to be a real interesting second half, so stick with us. We'll be back with the third quarter after this. Welcome back to St. Joseph High School here in Montvale, New Jersey, for the Big North football matchup, where at halftime the St. Joe's Green Knights lead the Wayne Hills Patriots by a score of 21-14. I am John Vittas here with Joe Rapp and Anthony Scudillo. So guys, the first half dominated by St. Joe's, especially in that second quarter. They're up 21-14. This game doesn't count for playoffs, or at least seeding. But right now, St. Joe's is playing like it does, because they have dominated just about all aspects of this game. And they find themselves up by 7. The first time Wayne Hills has really been knocked around this season. They're obviously 8-0 up to this point, and they have yet to been challenged at this high a level. So guys, as we get to kick it away, Anthony, my first question, the fact that St. Joe's can recruit and bring about any prospect they want into their school, are those resources unfair to Wayne Hills, considering they only can put on their team with who lives in their region?
Well, John, I think that is important, because it brings in a lot of size and strength that Hills doesn't have the ability to take advantage of. Now, Hills does have a lot of big kids, and Coach Olson works a lot with the younger kids in the Wayne system, including the middle school kids. But that's not the same as bringing in kids from other towns, and in fact other states. It's really a whole different ballgame. I don't want to say it's not fair to Wayne Hills, because they're putting up a fight, and they put up a fight last year, but it does make it a different kind of game.
I agree with you, Anthony, as Andrews is going to hand it up off the middle. Presley Bouvet breaks it, and Dries is able to make the tackle coming out of his safety position, but it's a first down for St. Joe's, and St. Joe's picks up right where they left off in the first half. But Anthony, going back to that discussion, I completely agree with you. I don't want to make excuses for this Wayne Hills team, because they can beat anybody, but it's just not fair. It's not equal playing grounds, because these kids from St. Joe's are from all different towns. It's basically an all-star team of Pop Warner football, as Bouvet gets the carry again. A gain of 5 as Pekarski and Massey combine for the tackle. I mean, Anthony, since last year, the beginning of last year is the first time that Wayne Hills had to play private schools. And I said right from the beginning, even though Wayne Hills is certainly capable of beating these teams, it's not fair that they can do this. And I said from the beginning that in any sport, it shouldn't be happening.
Well, I mean, the one thing you can compare to Wayne Hills is that they both had professional athletes come from the schools. Now you have Greg Olson as Buffet takes this one off the sideline, cuts it back to the inside, passes Dries, and gets to about the 30-yard line. Nice run there for Buffet. But like I was saying, both teams have had professional athletes come from their schools. Not necessarily St. Joe's, but the parochial schools around here, including Bergen Catholic and Don Bosco. You have Mark DeRosa coming from Bergen Catholic, and you have a plethora of players coming from Don Bosco. And
the Sims.
Yeah, you have, including Ryan Grant, who was the starting running back for the Green Bay Packers coming into this year before tearing his ACL. But Greg Olson came from Wayne Hills, so if you're going to compare one thing, that's the one thing to compare. But that's one player, and he was not recruited. His father was the coach, so it's a totally different game.
Well, the fact that Wayne Hills has been so dominant at the public school level is because of how great their coaching is. And without the coaching, they would not be nearly this good, because St. Joe's, I mean, just looking at the teams, St. Joe's has more players, first of all, and those players are bigger and taller than Wayne Hills is. Wayne Hills is going to get called for a 12-man violation. It's going to back up Wayne Hills 5 yards, and it'll be 1st and 5 for Joe's, as you saw Bouvet break about a 30-yard run on the previous play. And already St. Joe's is threatening at the Wayne Hills 22. Andrews now with the brace on his right knee is going to roll toward that far pylon and throws it incomplete. Had his man open, working on Eugene Lowe was the tight end, number 42, Patrick O'Connor. And Andrews overshot him. O'Connor had to step on Lowe but couldn't complete it.
That's been one of his go-to targets today. John O'Connor has one of the touchdowns from Andrews, and he's been finding him across the middle there. That time O'Connor was going to the deep corner, had Lowe beat, had to step on him, but Andrews just overthrew him there. He's not a passing quarterback, as we've said before. He is a runner, but now with that brace on his knee, it's going to prevent him from running as well as he wants to.
You talk about taking away half of Andrews' game. Now he's going to have to sit back and throw, which he's done well today, as it looks like Hogan might have made that play on John Sanford going up the middle, as Sanford picks up about 3. That was Greenfield on the tackle. So 3rd and 3 from the 20 now for St. Joe's, borderline field goal range. And so it's an interesting call here from Coach Karsage, as June is going to be the only receiver, split wide to the right. Andrews under center. Hand off to Bouvet up the middle.
Bouvet.
And he's right around the sticks. I think he's short. Pickup of 2 on the play, down to the 19, maybe even the 18. But Bouvet is going to be short by about a yard. So, guys, now it's 4th and 1 from the 18. 35-yard field goal, or are you going for it on 4th and 1?
Well, I think with the size of this offensive line, I'm going to go for it. Just look at these guys. Oof.
4th and a long
And all the 4th and 1s they've had all first half, they went for it, John. So that should give you an indication.
Well, I would also expect St. Joe's to go for it, and that's exactly what they're going to do with such a great run game. Bouvet, and again, we saw them going for 4th and 1 in the first half, and Andrews was in the shotgun, and that's exactly where he is right now. Andrews in the shotgun, joined by Bouvet. Wayne Hills needs to stop. Andrews going to keep it himself up the middle. 1st down and more, and into the end zone. Touchdown, St. Joe's. Christopher Andrews scampers 18 yards, and St. Joe's takes a 27-14 lead.
I guess that right knee is fine, John.
Well, John, I predicted 28 points, but not in the favor of St. Joe's. Well, I'm still closest if we count total points. So, again, Joe, you're wrong. Either way, you're wrong. So,
Is that the important thing, Anthony?
yes, it is. Right now, it is. You're
No,
wrong.
the important thing is that Wayne Hills is down by 13, about to be 14.
Well, they yet to have the ball here in the second half. We don't know how their offensive momentum's going to be. That one just slips through the uprights. Whoa. That one was close. Looked like he hooked it a little bit. But we haven't seen the Wayne Hills offense. We don't know what this halftime speech or locker room speech was like. It could be motivating or it could be demoralizing in a way.
Well, we saw Coach Olson's pregame speech was very encouraging, and I imagine it was a little less positive, but also just as intense at the halftime break because his defense came out real sluggish. Offense looked great at the beginning, but it's been stopped ever since, and hopefully the adjustments were made at halftime to straighten out the offense and the defense, but, I mean, it's already obvious the defense is playing just like they did in the first half. I mean, Wayne Hills took much longer to get on the field at the break. St. Joe's was on the field with about 6 minutes to go in the halftime break, and Wayne Hills milked halftime as long as they could. They were in the locker room for about 20 minutes, so hopefully their offense is straightened out. Because otherwise, St. Joe's could run away with this game. They're already up by 14 here, only 2.5 minutes into the third quarter.
Wait, did you say that thing that the guy wants you to say?
I will. So Dowling and Zaffino back to return the kick. Wayne Hills could really use a nice return.
Me either, that hurt.
Hey, remember the opening kickoff in the Super Bowl, John?
No, I don't.
Oh, it was an onside kick. That'd be crazy, huh? I was joking, by the way.
Well, it's a squib. Going to be fielded by Zaffino at the 5, across the 10, 15, cutting across to the far side, 20, 25 for Troy, shakes and bakes across the 30 and taken down at the 32. So considering how effective of a kick that was, Troy Zaffino does a nice job of picking up 27 on the return.
Well, you've seen they've gone away from kicking it to down. Probably a smart decision there by Joe's. Now, this drive right here could determine the game. If Joe's can get a stop, maybe put some more points on the board, that's going to be the ball game. Now, Hills came into this game with a little bit of a buzz from last week's game. They were not necessarily, like, I don't know, they were just confident, maybe a little too confident.
Well, the curl route's complete to Troy Zaffino. Gets out of bounds after a gain of 5. A nice strong throw there from Kevin Olson.
John, can you tell me the last time Wayne Hills lost by more than 10 points?
Nope.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah, none of us do. We were probably in elementary school the last time Wayne Hills lost by more than a couple of touchdowns, more than one touchdown, really. Wayne Hills lost by 8 in the state championship last year, and they lost by 2 to the St. Joe's team as Dowling's eaten up in the backfield. Brian Dowling loses 5. That's going to back it up, and it'll be 3rd and 9 now for Wayne Hills. What a play from St. Joe's defense again.
This is something I hope that Wayne Valley is watching right now.
Yeah,
They've found a way to stop Brian Dowling, and they've found a way to stop Kevin Olson's passing game. It's what passing game? We haven't seen it today, excuse me.
That's for sure. And, I mean, Wayne Valley already gave Wayne Hills a tough call in week 3, and they're going to be playing Wayne Hills in the opening round next week. But this is a key play for Olson, but they're in the Wildcat. Zaffino's going to keep it up the middle, and he stops short. An interesting call from Coach Olson on 3rd and 9. Zaffino picks up 6. It's going to be 4th and 3 for Wayne Hills, and they're going to have to punt. And guys, that tells me everything I need to know about Coach Olson's confidence in his son.
What does it say, John?
He doesn't have any confidence in his son.
Good observation, John.
If you're not going to throw it on 3rd and 9 down by 14, I don't know when you are. So Dowling set to punt it away.
Could be a fake punt here, John.
Another low snap. Dowling's going to punt it. He gets a nice end over end kick, and it'll be fielded and fumbled. Fumbled at the 30. Wayne Hills catches a break, and they're going to take over from the St. Joe's 31. What a turn.
John, it was like you like to say, a low line drive kick. That one might have been a wobbler, might have been a knuckler a little bit. Not able to hold on to it at St. Joe's, and Dries was there waiting to lay the lick on him. Luckily, he didn't need to. He just picked up the ball.
Well, John, that's why Coach Olson didn't call a pass play on 3rd and 9. It's the only reason, because he knew Brian was going to do that.
That was going to happen, Joe. That's what he knew he was going to fumble that kick.
I knew
Olson's going to throw.
Right.
Incomplete.
It's okay.
Intercepted by St. Joe's. Coming back the other way. Wow.
So Joe, if I understand, Coach Olson kicked it, so he knew he would fumble the ball, and then he had that one tip off of Eugene's hand into St. Joe's arms.
I don't think.
I'm going to go home now.
It's okay, Joe.
Well, a terrible turn of events. Wayne Hills gets even on the punt game after they screwed up a snap of their own in the first half. That cost them 7. They finally catch a break. St. Joe's muffs a punt. On the very next play, Olson throws the ball way behind Eugene Lowe. Lowe tries to tip it up. He doesn't try to tip it up. He tips it up, and St. Joe's comes away with the pick, and they get the ball right back exactly where they would have had it had the punt return man fielded it cleanly, which is at the 32. And Bouvet with a monster hole. Davey stops that one quickly, but the St. Joe's offensive line opening huge holes for Bouvet.
Well, John, we've seen Davies double teamed all day today. That time he had single coverage, able to get off his blocker and just get his long arms out there to stop Bouvet. He's getting a second about 7 here. If they could get a 3 and out, maybe get a punt, they'll still have time. There's 7 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. They'll have time to try to put something together to try to get back into this game.
Well, 2nd and 7 from the 35. Andrews handoff up the middle. Bouvet falls forward for another gain of 4. But it's going to be a huge 3rd down and 3 now for Wayne Hills' defense because the clock's ticking now, 6:50 to go in the 3rd quarter. So, guys, a pivotal play here. If Wayne Hills can get the ball back there, right back there in this game, if not, St. Joe's could march right back down the field, burn off even more time. So Andrews under center, I formation. Going to look to throw. Deep down the far sideline, he's got his man. Incomplete. Troy Zaffino was beat by June, but the ball was underthrown by Andrews, and Troy put his arms up. Unfortunately for him, his makeup speed had the ball go off his back.
It's a game changer by Troy. I mean, he didn't see the ball at all. He just put his hand up, and luckily the ball hit his hand.
Well, it hit his.
It was a lucky play.
It hit his back.
Oh,
but
sorry.
But that was an underthrown ball by Andrews. He did not lead his receiver June far enough, and it allowed Zaffino to make up for his mistake. So a big break for Wayne Hills. They're going to get the ball right back with probably pretty decent field position. This is the first punt of the game for St. Joe's. And it's a terrible kick. Might have been the second punt, actually. Going to go out of bounds at the 43-yard line. That's a terrible kick. That's about a 20-yard punt, not even, maybe 18 yards. So Wayne Hills, great field position. 6:22 to go in the third. They have a chance.
Oh, John, they need to get the wheels rolling here. Put some some lube on it and get it going, because right now they're at a standstill. They need to start get the offense rolling, get Brian Dowling the ball in open space, maybe a screenplay. That's been their bread and butter over the years, the screenplay to the running back. And when you have a guy like Brian Dowling, that's exactly what you need to do. Right now they're trying to run in between the tackles with him, and it's not working.
Well, Olsen under center, Dries in motion. Dowling up the gut, has a hole, pushes forward. Look at Brian Dowling chug those legs, picking up 6 yards. A strong run from Dowling. He only got 6, but a nice run by number 9. We haven't seen him get positive yardage all half.
Now finally a hole there for him to run through. Kevin has looked puzzled up until this point when Brian gets stopped behind the line. He's like, where is my blocking? Well, we saw it there. He had a hole and he took advantage of it.
So 7 yards for Dowling, 2nd and 3. Monahan and Dries, the receivers. It's going to be a screen to Dries, complete. First down and more for Dries across the 45, taken down at the 40-yard line. A gain of 10 yards for Wayne Hills, and a Patriot first down.
Well, Dries was the big play guy last year with Mike Quinn. Quinn was not nervous to really go over the top to Dries last year, and we saw he had a lot of big plays. He hasn't got a lot of action this year. It's good to see him in this game.
Well, Wayne Hills finally moving the ball. Handoff Dowling along the left, falls forward for a gain of 3, down to the St. Joe's 38. But guys, they're short passes, but Kevin Olsen's finally completing the ball to his receivers.
Well, John, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but the St. Joe's defensive line has been stupendous today, dominating the offensive line of Wayne Hills.
Yeah, the St. Joe's defensive line, you got to tip your cap to them. After Wayne Hills' offensive line completely dominated Ramapo last week, this St. Joe's defensive line has stepped in and stuffed all holes. So clock ticking, 4:52 to go in the third. Wayne Hills with a 2nd and 7. Hogan, the fullback. Dowling going to swing to the left, and Olsen's going to spike it down. They were trying to set up a screen to either Dowling or Davies. I don't even know what that play was because it was blown up so badly by St. Joe's.
Well, John, we have seen the double screen during this season where you have Dowling going out wide, and then you have one of the tight ends, either Russell Pekarsky, James Hogan, or Pete Davies waiting for the second screen. Both of them got blown up there, nothing doing for Kevin Olsen. Good choice there rather than having another tip ball and maybe an interception again. But we're going to see 3rd and 7 here. He's going to have to throw the ball. Just find somebody in open space. Let him make a move or two, try to get some positive yardage.
Well, on 3rd and 7, I wouldn't be surprised to see Wayne Hills run because they probably will have 2 plays to get this, but Brian Dowling is split out wide to the left. He's the only man on that left side of the field. Olsen looking right toward him, and it's going to be tipped at the line and batted down. Olsen was going for either Dowling or Davies over there on the left side, and now a huge 4th and 7. It doesn't get any bigger than this.
Looks like they're going to punt it, John.
Oh, wow. We don't see Coach Olsen do this too often. They're at the St. Joe's 38. I know Olsen hasn't made too many throws down the field today, if at all. But as late in the third quarter, down by 2 touchdowns, I think you got to go for this.
Jabari Garvin deep for the Green Knights.
I mean, again, it's another sign that Coach Olsen does not have confidence in Kevin to throw the ball down the field, at least. So Dowling gets a good stop. Going to kick it inside the 10. Going to take a Wayne Hills bounce at the 3. It's going to be taken down and spotted at the 8. So, I mean, normally when it bounces in that direction, it's a St. Joe's bounce. But Wayne Hill's fortunate to keep it out of the end zone, so St. Joe's is going to have to start from their own 8 as opposed to the 20.
Well, we have seen that they can make up that kind of yardage. I mean, 92 yards to the end zone. I mean, John, if they score right here, it'll take them the whole quarter, first of all, with 4:30 left. But the game's definitely over. 35-14.
Absolutely. If St. Joe's scores here, I think it's all but over. So Wayne Hill's defense needs to step it up. Down 28-14, 4:27 to go in the third. Dom Santoro in the game at linebacker, joining Massey, and Ricky Klee is in there. It's going to be a give to the left. Not much there. McDermott somehow breaks free. I don't know how he did that. I thought he was bottled up, but he comes forward and picks up 20 yards. I was about to call McDermott down, and he picks up 20.
I think tensions are getting tight for both teams. A little bit of a scuffle after the play.
First down for St.
See, both teams want this game, although it doesn't matter, I don't think, for either of the teams. This is a pride game, a revenge game for Wayne Hills, and they're going to come out. I mean, they've come out a little flat.
Well,
after those first 14, it's gone quiet.
Well, Wayne Hills wants to preserve an undefeated season right now. That's the biggest thing right now for them, as well as avenge the loss from last year. Handoff up the middle to Bouvet. I was going to say nothing there, but he as well was able to break free. But this time, Wayne Hills not fooled, and they get him for a loss of 3 as the clock ticked down to under 3:30 to play in the third. But guys, we haven't seen missed tackles like this since John Robertson a few weeks ago. The tackling last week against Ramapo was excellent. So
We also haven't seen athletes like this since John Robertson in the Paramus game, though, John.
well, John Robertson and John Robertson, they really didn't have much else.
Andrews working over center.
2nd and 13 for Joe's. Handoff to Bouvet, nothing there. Eaten up. That's Jason Avedisian into the game,
Hit at the line of
as well as Bouvet looks to be injured. Shunky was in there as well. Bouvet up now. As they did stop the clock, he appears to be okay. But Anthony, we see Jason Avedisian in on defense. He was an offense-only guy last week, replacing, it looks like,
Roberto
Alvarez.
Yeah, and you also see Joe Lane in there at D tackle. So you have the 2 biggest kids at D tackle, just trying to match up with the size of St. Joe's. Good call by Coach Olson. He had been limiting people to one way each, either offensive or defensive on the line. I like the call here, though.
Yeah, you got to mix things up when they're running all over you. And Coach Olson has taken out Alvarez and Lane and put in Avedisian and Chunky, as that ball is going to be incomplete. That would have been right around the first down marker. June was the intended receiver. Andrews threw it a little bit low, and June couldn't corral it. So a big stop for Wayne Hills, and St. Joe's going to have to punt, guys. That's a huge stop.
Well, they have been avoiding Wayne Hills, Brian Dowling on these punts. He's gonna, he's going to switch with Monahan before the play even starts, knowing that they've been kicking away from maybe trying to trick him here.
You're right, Ant. They do switch as they're going to blow it dead. There's a flag, probably a false start.
Illegal motion.
And it is a false start on St. Joe's. That's going to back them up 5 more, make it 4th and 18, all the way back to their own 22. So Wayne Hill's even better field position now.
Hopefully it'll be a punt like last time.
Dowling and Monahan.
Give Hills
Joe checked
good
the
field
punt.
position with 2 minutes left in this third quarter.
So Hogan and Santoro back off. They're going to help with the returners. This is a weak end over end kick, but Monahan fields it out of bounds to his own 48. Gets across. Oh, that's got to be a flag. Nope.
Wow. Again, I like that choice for Monahan just because that one did have a lot of speed behind it. That one was going to bounce a long ways, but that looked like that hit was out of bounds. Coach Olson's going to look like he was going to talk to the referees for a second. He's going to give up that battle.
I wouldn't use the verb talk.
He's going to give up that battle, talk to his son Kevin, trying to get his confidence back up. We saw earlier in the year, he was throwing the ball at will. I know these are better teams in the past 2 weeks that we've been playing, but this is where the maturation process needs to be speeded up.
It really does, because this is a great team, and they're going to need Kevin if they want to win a state championship. 1st and 10. Fullback dive to Hogan. Hogan pushing the pile for a pickup of 5. But Anthony, I agree with you. That was the first time all year I agree with Monahan scooping that ball up, because he had 5 yards before the nearest defender was bearing down on him. And if it did get past Monahan, it would have rolled for at least a few more yards. So Monahan saving his team probably around 10 yards there. So 2nd and 8. They only give Hogan 2.
Wow. Looked like he had a little more on that. Maybe
More, Anthony.
So 2nd and 8, Dowling dotting the I. It's going to be a play action to Zaffino. Zaffino cutting back inside, trying to get a block from Justin Avedisian, but he is bottled up. They're going to give us forward progress on a loss of 3. It looked like Zaffino initially got back to the line, but then he backtracked and lost 3. It's going to be 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 11 now for Wayne Hills.
And that's not the type of pass play you like to see. I mean, you can barely get forward progress on that. They're going to bring their 2 speed weapons, Monahan and Dries, into the game, bring out Pete Davies. It's almost a little too late for Wayne Hills. On 2nd down is when you could take a chance down the field rather than doing a little, try to shake and bake move in the hole for Zaffino on a little bubble screen almost. I don't like that call.
Well, Anthony, I'm surprised to hear you say you don't like the play action pass, but the only thing I don't like about that call, because I actually did like it at first. Troy cuts back toward the middle of the field where St. Joseph's huge linebackers are waiting. If he catches that and cuts it to the outside where Eugene Lowe's making a stellar stalk block, that could be a huge play.
I also think that's where a double move or a second route comes into play, where you do a pump fake to one guy. You see Olsen going over the top here to Eugene Lowe. He makes a nice catch at the 20. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You have to go over the top. We know Kevin can make big throws, and that's our friend Eugene Lowe on the reception. Now, earlier in the year, Kevin Olsen was going to Eugene Lowe because he's short-handed. I like the play call there. The double move and the going to the outside works. You just have to get the right pass and the right coverage.
What a catch by Eugene Lowe. Perfect ball from Olsen, threw it into coverage, and Lowe came down with it. First time he's been thrown to today, and he shows he deserves more chances. Olsen going to give the screen to Dowling, and he's bottled up. A loss of 5. No blocking from the Wayne Hills guards. A loss of 5 back to the 21. So just as Wayne Hills' offense starts to move, it goes backwards.
Loss of about 4 on the play. 2nd and 14 for the Patriots.
So 14 seconds and counting here in the 3rd. Wayne Hill's going to try to get a snap off before the end of the quarter. Davies comes out. Zaffino coming in. 7 seconds to go. They're not going to get it off. So, guys, that is going to do it for the 3rd quarter of action here from Montvale, New Jersey. With the score, St. Joe's 28, Wayne Hills 14. Wayne Hills with a long uphill climb ahead of them. We'll see if they can match it after this.
For the Patriots right now, and the fans are on their feet. Monahan, look at that, he's back in the pocket, and he's going for Greg Olsen, and he caught it! He got it! Touchdown, Patriots! Touchdown, Patriots!
So back here, Montvale, New Jersey, where St. Joe's leads Wayne Hills 28-14. We get set to start the 4th quarter of action. Wayne Hills with a 2nd and 14 from the St. Joe's 22. Safe to say they need a touchdown on this drive. But guys, look at St. Joe's results this year. I mean, they beat Paramus Catholic, St. Peter's Prep, which was a big win for them. And DePaul, they started out 4-0 after beating Paramus by 1, but they lost to Ramapo, who Wayne Hills destroyed. They lost to Brigham Catholic. Last week they beat Pascack Valley, but this team is not the type of team, as far as the results go this year, that should be beating Wayne Hills this handily, and right now they're up by 14. Also handoff to Dowling to the left. Initially got a block, and it's closed up quickly. Dowling able to pick up 5, maybe 6, to make it a 3rd and 8. But a big couple of plays here.
This is the first team that has really been able to corral Brian Dowling after the, first hit. That first hit has done enough to stop him. He's not able to recover after that. Normally we see him break the first tackle and then really break it to the outside, and then it's a race to the end zone.
Well, I mean, we saw Brian break the huge 60-something yard run in the first quarter, but since then he really hasn't had much more than 10 yards. So tip your cap to St. Joe's defense. 3rd and 9 for Olsen. He's going to throw over the middle, complete to Dries, who's laid out as he crosses the 15, gets down to the 13. It looks like he's going to be short by about 1 yard. So here's a huge play from Wayne Hills, 4th and 1 from the 18. This is the game. If they don't get this, you guys agree it's over?
Well, 11 minutes left. I think there's still time, but they're going to bring in the house right now. They're going to bring in Russ Pekarsky, James Hogan. They have their biggest lineman in right now. They have Massey, and this is they're going to be their power formation. What would they would use on the goal line?
Yeah,
it's going to probably go to Dowling, but it doesn't matter who it goes to because it's going to come down to the offensive line. If they could get a good push, it's going to be a first down.
Well, my yardage was wrong. They're actually at the 8-yard line, and Wayne Hills is going to call a timeout, realizing this could be the game. I mean, unless Wayne Hills gets a pick six or a big defensive play or a botch from St. Joe's, if they don't score here and St. Joe's holds onto the ball, it's pretty much over. Coach Olsen knows that, and that's why he's calling a timeout here. He doesn't want any mishaps on this 4th and 2 from inside the 9. They got to get to the 7.
If you're Coach Olsen in this huddle, John, what are you telling him to do? Are you just talking about the assignments, or are you talking about what they need to do in order to get the play?
Well, I think you got to be specific to the play and coach up your boys and tell them what you need to do to execute to pick up this first down, because if you don't do that, the game's over. But he also got to point out the big picture that, I mean, we have an undefeated season here, boys. This is a great team. We don't want the new streak of 8 to end today. You don't want to go into the playoffs on a losing note. Wayne Hills is going to be the 1 seed regardless of whether they win or lose this game. But, I mean, it's not really an important game as far as playoff implications is concerned. But it's important for the morale of the team. Losing to St. Joe's for the 2nd straight year would certainly be a thorn in their side. So they break the timeout. 4th and 2, 10:33 to go in the 4th. Kevin Olsen under center. 3 receivers set for Wayne Hills. Massey the lone setback. Olsen's going to throw. Throws it over the middle. Incomplete. Batted down by St. Joe's. Olsen was looking for Dries over the middle on the slant. He threw it into coverage. I don't know about that call.
Might have been some contact before Dries was even touching the ball. Little bit of contact, not enough to call a penalty. Now they're going to need a quick 3 and out, call some timeout. They might have to use their timeouts early.
Well, Wayne Hills is certainly going to need quick scores to come back. But why don't you put the ball in the hands of your playmaker? You're going to give your sophomore quarterback, who hasn't completed a pass down the field other than the one play to low all day, have him throw it into coverage on one of the best defenses in the state on 4th and 2. Dowling had 324 yards last week. I don't see why he doesn't get the ball in that situation. I mean, if you're going to lose with your best players trying to make plays. So handoff up the middle, nothing there. Good defense from Wayne Hills. No gain on the play. It's going to be 2nd and 10. Havlish on the carry, but most importantly, clock ticking now under 10 minutes.
Well, Joe's is going to act conservatively here. They're probably just going to run as much as they can. Hills is going to try to have to, not going to try. They're going to have to force a turnover. Try to poke that ball out.
Well, a 3 and out would be fine, but a turnover would be even better. But any first down from St. Joe's would be a huge hit to Wayne Hills' chances. So Andrews under center. And you're going to throw this time. Looking for the receiver, June. Makes the catch, stays in bounds. A gain of 6 up to the 15. So it'll be 3rd and 4 for St. Joe's. Nice throw from Andrews and a good job of June to stay in bounds. Because a risky call there from St. Joseph. If that's incomplete or June goes out of bounds, his clock stops, and that's the last thing St. Joseph wants.
Well, they had Russ Pekarsky in man coverage on June there. Just not only a size difference, but a speed difference. I know Russ is a very versatile athlete, and he's quick blitzing, but to have him against a 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver might not be the best decision for Hills.
Well, Dowling is going to cover June now on 3rd and 4. June, the only receiver. McDermott in motion. Andrews going to keep it, first down and more. Across the 30 is Andrews. At the 40, Zaffino in pursuit. Across the 50, and Andrews finally pushed out of bounds at the Wayne Hills 37-yard line. That's a 48-yard run for Christopher Andrews, and that might have been the nail in the coffin for St. Joe's. First down for them and deep in Wayne Hills territory. 8:52 to go and up by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it looks pretty bleak, John. I mean, I don't know if Wayne Hills was expecting that at all.
They were not. They were all following McDermott. They've given that sweep time and time again today, and that's exactly what Wayne Hills was keying in on when they saw McDermott go in motion. And Andrews kept it himself and had a huge hole off the left side of that line. That was Davies' side. He got double teamed again, and Andrews with a fresh set of downs.
Andrew out of the shotgun.
McDermott in motion. They give it to him this time, and this time Wayne Hills saw it coming. McDermott loses one back to the 38. But again, clock ticking. 8:36 to go in the game.
2nd and 12.
And not only would this be by far the most points Wayne Hills has given up, 28, but it would be the least amount of points they've scored since the state championship game last year. Wayne Hills has scored at least 21 in every game so far in 2010. Right now they're stuck on 14. They haven't scored since the early portions of the first quarter. We're now nearing the midway point of the fourth, and they're down 28-14. 2nd and 11. It's going to be a handoff to the fullback across the 30. Gets a first down across the 25. O'Connor, the tight end, with the carry.
That was Jeff Farina on that carry.
That was Farina actually on the carry. His first carry of the day. Picks up 16 yards.
Side of the line.
And it's St. Joe's first down. So if that run doesn't ice it, I don't know what will. 7:50 and counting.
Starting to get a little
Get your 50-50 tickets
little
out. Blue
sad.
ticket.
I mean, it's starting to. The fact is starting to set in now that this game probably looking to end like an L for Wayne Hills. They haven't had to deal with this in a year. Andrews rolling to his left. He's going to keep it himself. Tackled by Davies. No, he breaks away from Davies and gets down the sideline. Peter Davies spun Andrews around, but he tiptoes down the sideline, gets across the 15 and right around the first down marker. And they're going to give Andrews the first down, a gain of 11.
Ready?
I think this only motivates Hills for next week's game against Wayne Valley. I think they're going to be angry after this, and they're going to come out with a lot of passion against this Wayne Valley team at home for the second time again.
Well, as depressing as this loss will be for Wayne Hills,
It's not the end of the line.
Nothing motivates them more than a matchup against their crosstown rivals, and nothing humbles you more than a loss like this in the final week of the regular season. God forbid this loss comes next week. It's better that it happens in the last game of the regular season with Wayne Hills already clinched the 1 seed. Handoff to Bouvet. Presley picks up 2. Down to the 10. The clock ticking under 7 minutes to go.
Number 76, that's Jake Shunk.
They're going to need a turnover. The clock's still ticking. They need something to happen and to happen quick. They're not going to pass the ball again. They're inside Wayne Hills' 20. They're not going to pass the ball. They're going to run this clock out, whether they have to kick a field goal and really, put it out of reach. Hills needs to make something happen, and they need to make it happen quick.
2nd and 9 for Andrews in the shotgun.
Out of the shotgun.
McDermott in motion. Andrews keeps it. That's that same 4th down play. Big stop by Peter Davies. Andrews saw the end zone in front of him, but he was dragged down by that injured right knee. He picked up about 7 yards on the play, but there's a flag on the field, and it's going to be on St. Joe's. Looks like a holding, so that's going to back him up.
Penalty on the play.
And Anthony, it's becoming more obvious that if Wayne Hills stands any chance, Olsen's going to have to throw the ball deep down the field.
Well, Valley's going to want to come out next week and just stop the run. That's going to be their main goal. And that was their main goal in their first game. And they were able to hold Dowling down really until the kick return he had for a touchdown. And then after that, he didn't play much. Yeah, yes, he was. And, you know, they were shut down by Ramapo, and this Wayne Hills team destroyed Ramapo. So it's going to be hard to determine what's going to happen, but you know that they're gonna try to stop the run. And if they can, they have to take advantage of the guys they have on the outside are great. Troy Zaffino, Mike Drees, Eugene Lowe. These guys can all catch the ball, and they can all beat a defender every single down. It's just going to be play calling, and it's going to come down to where the throws are.
Well, McDermott out of the Wildcat picks up a couple, so a big third down play here with 5:48 to go. But, Ant, the fact is, St. Joe's shut down Dowling for the most part today. He had a couple good runs, but, of course, the big run is going to make it look like Dowling had another good game. But the bottom line is, the only team to shut down Brian Dowling in the last 2 years was Wayne Valley, and they did it twice, last year and this year. And Kevin Olsen's going to need to play like a senior if he wants to win a state championship. The pass up, complete, touchdown, St. Joe's. Ricky June puts the nail in the coffin and sends St. Joe's into the playoffs as winners as they extend their lead to 34-14. June just jumped over Zaffino.
Yeah, and that's where the height advantage comes into play again for this St. Joe's team. Just jump. Troy Zaffino's 5'8" on a good day. Just jumps right over him.
Well, that is going to be a grim end to the season as all the fans head to the exits now with 5:21 to go. The extra point is good. 35-14. We have not seen Wayne Hills lose a game this bad in around 8 to 9 years. I mean, and we didn't see it. We were little kids. Wayne Hills hasn't lost a game this bad in, like I said, 8 to 10 years. None of these players remember that. And this is a big demoralizing loss going into the playoffs.
Well, John, you just got to – these Wayne Hills players, they got to go home and just completely forget about this game. It doesn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything before, not after.
Well, Coach Olsen told his boys that this game meant a lot, but now he's going to backtrack on those words and say it really didn't mean much. Other than the fact that they lost their undefeated season. So they'll head into the playoffs at 8-1.
I think Coach Olsen cares about a state championship more than an undefeated season.
Oh, no doubt. And that's what we were saying last year when St. Joe's beat Wayne Hills and broke the 55-game winning streak. Although it's a demoralizing loss, Wayne Hills is in the playoffs. They're the 1 seed. They're going to have 2 home games before heading into Giant Stadium if they can get that far.
John, this is only going to affect them for a few days, and it can really only affect them tomorrow. Because as soon as Monday rolls around, it's going to be Wayne Hills, Wayne Valley for the second time this year. And they're going to have to focus only on Wayne Valley and not have to look at the past, other than previous film of Wayne Hills, Wayne Valley.
Well, if my history of knowledge serves me correctly, this is going to be the 4th postseason matchup between Wayne Hills and Wayne Valley. You had 2 ancient matchups in the 90s, 70s, I don't even know. Because when Wayne Hills played Wayne Valley in the state championship our freshman year 3 years ago, it was the 3rd postseason meeting, and this is the first one since then. So this is going to be the 4th postseason matchup. I believe it's 2-1 Wayne Hills in the postseason series. All time, it would be 4-1 Wayne Hills. But Valley always plays Wayne Hills tough. And like Anthony said, they have to be focused for this game because Wayne Hills knows better than anyone what Wayne Valley is capable of. Zaffino fields it at the 8, across the 15-20, and bottled up at the 26. So that's where Kevin Olsen will begin his assaults down the field with 5:12 to go. Wayne Hills down by 21.
Dowling's brought down by a host of Green Knights.
And if Wayne Valley can do what they did to Brian Dowling the last 2 years, the game isn't purely in the hands of Kevin Olsen, the sophomore quarterback. He's going to have to make throws. There's no doubt about it. Because Wayne Hills' defense was much better against Valley week 3 than they were today. Olsen to throw it, complete to Dowling on the far side across the 30, pushed out of bounds at the 34. A gain of about 8 for Dowling. Stops the clock at 5:02. They're going to keep the clock rolling, saying Dowling was pushed out.
5 minutes in the 4th quarter.
And now they're going to blow it dead.
5 minutes, sorry.
Oh, now they're going to tell the clock operator to stop the clock. So it'll be a 2nd and 3 for Wayne Hills from their own 34. But guys, looking at the playoff seeding, we mentioned the matchup against Wayne Valley next week. That's going to be the talk of the town for the next 7 days. But looking at the bracket, North 1 Group 3, last night the big game, Oltapan beat Ramapo last night. So Oltapan slides up to the 2 seed. Ramapo will be the 3 seed. So the big thing about Wayne Hills beating Ramapo last week was that they don't have to play either of those teams in the semis. So barring upsets, Ramapo will play Oltapan in one side, the 2-3 matchup, and Wayne Hills will probably play the winner of High Point and Pascack Valley in the semis. Of course, they have to get past Valley first before that, as they try to get the clock straightened out. Looking at these standings, it's going to be Wayne Hills, Oltapan, Ramapo, 1, 2, 3. High Point 4, I believe Pascack Valley 5, barring Paramus not passing them. Paramus and Mount Olive are going to be the 6 and the 7. So guys, real quick, looking outside the Wayne Hills Wayne Valley matchup, Ramapo and Oltapan the favorites to get to the finals in the other half. Anything stand out to you amongst those other teams, High Point, Pascack Valley, Mount Olive, or Paramus?
John, I think you're looking too far. I think Wayne Valley is going to play much harder than people anticipate. Although Brian Dowling was hurt in that game, still had a touchdown. And
I was talking about the discussion of the group, not just Wayne Hills. You're just trying to cover up for knowing nothing about Mount Olive or High Point.
Well, I do not know anything about either of those teams, to be honest. I can't lie. Not knowing anything about the teams, I'm still scared about the first game. And until Wayne Hills wins that first game, then I'll look at High Point and Mount Olive.
Or Pascack Valley.
All the above.
Because it's going to be High Point or Pascack Valley in the semis. And it's worth mentioning that, again, Wayne Hills has to beat Valley. But it's worth mentioning, the last time Hills was pushed to the test in a round before the finals was 2 years ago in 2008, where Wayne Hills was able to scrape past Pascack Valley 17-10 in what was known as the Tom DiBianca game at Wayne Hills in the semis. So Pascack Valley might have to play that same exact game in Wayne Hills in the semis. But anyway, 2nd and 3 for Hills. Low in motion, they give the screen to Zafino. Low blocking, Massey helping out, but Zafino not able to get to the stick, so it's going to be a 3rd and 1 for Wayne Hills.
John, they're doing these lateral passes rather than going downfield. We've seen that Kevin can throw the deep ball. Go all verticals. Get people in space.
This is the time to experiment and take chances. Usually we see Wayne Hills up by 21, but today they're down by 21. And if they want to win in the state playoffs, they are going to need Kevin Olson to throw the ball down the field. And Wayne Hills is going to take a timeout as there are some serious clock malfunctions. Because there's about 4 minutes to go, but the last couple of minutes there's been serious clock delays and the horn just sounded.
On the field.
As the Wayne Hills cheerleaders trying to get their sideline pumped up, I don't think that's going to work.
They're just trying to stay warm, John. I don't blame them.
Well, most of the stands, at least on St. Joseph's side, has emptied out. Wayne Hills still looks pretty full over there, but it's primarily the band on the right side.
5:09 on the clock.
So they finally get things straightened out. 5:09 to go in the 4th. Just looking through Wayne Hills' playoff history, in our 3 years at Wayne Hills, as well as the seniors on this team's 3 years at Wayne Hills, their freshman year of 2007, they destroyed Parsippany Hills 49-0 in the quarters. They beat Oltapan 23-6 in the semis, which was Devin Fuller's Devin Fuller's freshman year. And then in the championship, they beat the undefeated 2-seed Wayne Valley 27-7. our sophomore year of 2008. In the first round, Wayne Hills beat West Milford 44-8. Semifinals, the game we just talked about, Pascack Valley, Wayne Hills beat them 17-10. And then in the championship, they beat the 3-seed Lakeland 35-6. Last year, they played Old Tapan, beat them 41-7 in the first round. Sparta, 41-38 in a very memorable overtime game at Patriot Stadium, and lost to Ramapo 16-8. Handoff up the middle to Dowling, picks up 8 yards and a Wayne Hills first down with 4 something to go.
John, don't take this the wrong way, but honestly, I think you could talk about the color of your underwear for a good hour and a half.
Well, when there's 5-minute clock malfunctions and a limited amount of commercials we can offer, sometimes you have to fill space. And I always come prepared with my stats, so I figured I'd read them to you. Olsen looking to throw deep for Dowling. Double coverage, incomplete. Kevin had single coverage on Lowe on the near side.
I was just going to say that. Why? I know he's your star player, but most of these guys, Eugene Lowe, Troy Zaffino, Mike Drees, James Hogan, would be stars on any other team. So take advantage of your resources. We said this is going to be a good year for Kevin to integrate into the system because he had great guys around him. Well, he focuses on one, and that's not diminishing Brian Dowling in any way. He is a star player, a blue chip player. He's going to be playing D1 football next year. But you have other guys around him that can play the game of football as well.
And he gives it to Massey, who's stopped for a loss of 1. Helmet-to-helmet collision.
I don't.
Loss of 1. 3rd and 11. The screen didn't work 4 times today. And in a situation down by 21 and a chance to experiment, you're going to go to a play that has been blown up all day? I don't get it. But going back to the play before, Kevin didn't even look to anybody else. He just chucked it up to Dowling. And if he wants to be that Division I quarterback that he supposedly is, he's going to need to look off to other receivers and find open spaces. He does that and finds Zaffino. That's a nice throw. Kevin shuts me up. That's a gain of 19 and a Wayne Hills first down. Nice touch pass from Olsen over the middle to Zaffino.
Finally looking off one receiver and going back to his first look. That's what he needs to do. That's.
I guess he heard you all the way up here.
Yeah, I mean, telepathy, mental telepathy.
First and 10 from the Joes 41. 3:12 and counting for Olsen. Under center, going to throw to his left. Looks for Dowling. What a catch by Brian. Across the 35-30. Brian across the 25, finally taken down at the 20. That ball was overthrown, and somehow Brian brought it in.
McDermott went after him, brought him down at the...
Well, like I said, I wasn't diminishing his skill set.
That was a nice catch, and he picked up 20 plus.
This kid still lives in Wayne?
So first and 10 from the 20. They stopped the clock with 3:01.
Quarter with 3 minutes and 1 second on the clock.
Are you?
First and 10 for Wayne Hills.
Go get us hot chocolate.
Olsen in the gun. Dowling in motion, looking over the middle for Hogan, incomplete. He had James with some space in the zone over the middle, but the linebacker was just able to get a fingertip on it and disrupt that pass.
He also had Pete Davies there in man coverage. That's somebody hard to cover at 6'4". It's getting annoyed.
2:56 to go in the game.
Second and 10.
Dude, where's my phone?
You would really like to see Wayne Hills score and make it a respectable 14-point game, because right now 35-14 looks like Wayne Hills fell apart, and they kind of did. Olsen scrambling, able to get rid of the pressure and throws it away, intended for Dowling. So a nice job by Kevin, who is now 30 yards down the field at the 50, to get that one away because heavy pressure was coming. 3rd and 10.
3rd and 10 for Wayne Hills.
It just looks like this Wayne Hills team is tired. Just flat.
Do you think it has anything to do with the big emotional win last week?
I think it does. I think it took a lot out of them. And it didn't need to because they won by a substantial amount of points. I think they used a whole bottled up amount of energy and released it all in 1 week, which they could have conserved over a few weeks.
3rd and 10 for Wayne.
3rd and 10. Hogan guarding Olsen. Pass over the middle. Intercepted. That's Olsen's 3rd interception of the year. That'll be a touchback. Olsen severely overshot Troy Zaffino, and capping off a miserable day for him in Wayne Hills. With 2:45 to go, if you were in the bleachers before, you're now going to be gone. So you'd expect St. Joe's to just run the clock out now. Up by 3 touchdowns. I mean, looking at St. Joe's perspective, this has to be a big win for them going into the playoffs.
Well, this is definitely motivation after a subpar year in St. Joe's standards. This is going to take them into the playoffs with high hopes, knowing that they can come out and beat a good team.
Well, like Joe Rapp said, 6-2 looks a lot better than 5-3. And St. Joe's with a good season as opposed to an average one. Backup quarterback is going to be taken down by Greenfield for a sack after fumbling the bad snap. But Joe's in the parochial Group 3 division as opposed to Group 4, where you have your Boscos and your Bergens and your St. Peters. Obviously just a lethal section of the playoffs in North Jersey. So St. Joe's has the opportunity of playing in Group 3, so they certainly have a very good chance at the state championship. They won the state championship last year. And I would not be surprised to see this team in Giant Stadium come December, because they showed today why they're one of the premier teams in North Jersey and why they have a very good chance of repeating as state champs. They have a great quarterback. They have an explosive running back, as well as a couple of fullbacks that can spell Bouvet from time to time. They have a top-notch receiver in June. They have a top-notch tight end in O'Connor. And their defense showed they can stop one of the best backs in New Jersey in Brian Dowling. So to me, there's no reason why this St. Joe's team won't win a state championship.
3rd and 5.
No, they have all the weapons, John. They have all the tools that they need in order to repeat. So,
but of course, a big question is how Andrews' knee will heal after this one, as he suffered a right knee injury on a 4th and inches keeper, and I'm watching him take the brace and his cleats off right now as it's a handoff up the middle, stopped by Jimmy Kenny and the Wayne Hills defensive line. So they're going to have to punt. Wayne Hills calls a timeout with 1:10 to go. But they're going to have to monitor Andrews' knee, because although he hasn't put up the best numbers this year, he showed today that he can be a winning quarterback. He made some great throws in the first half.
Well, if Wayne Valley is going to watch this film, they're going to see that a running quarterback can defeat this Wayne Hills team. That was the one thing that was dangerous about Paramus, and that was basically the one thing that was dangerous today. I mean, it allowed for the not only play action pass, but the play fake jet sweep as well, where Andrews scored a touchdown. So Hills has got some gaps to fill.
Well, they only have 6 days to fix it, as it is a short week of preparation. Playing this Saturday afternoon game, having to play Friday night at Patriot Stadium against the Indians in 6 days. So they take Brian out of the punt return game. Probably a smart decision. I would not like to see him. I would like to see him on the sideline for the rest of this one. So Monahan going to be joined by Zaffino, as Pekarski and Santoro will drop back again to. Oh, Greenfield almost blocked it. Actually, he did get a piece of it. So there won't be a penalty, but it's going to take a St. Joe's bounce up to the 47, as the St. Joe's punter appears to be injured. Despite it being blocked by Greenfield, it was still about a 30-yard kick. But the punter really shaken up. And you never want to see that in a stage like this.
Greenfield was almost untouched there. We've seen him get close to the kicker before, not that close.
I mean, Wayne Hills, it seems like their defensive ends always get close, but they never actually get it. I mean, we've seen it from Lane, we've seen it from Greenfield, we've seen it from Davies a lot earlier in the year. And last year, we saw Eddie Schiller get after the punts time and time again. So 1st and 10 from their own 47. Olsen under center. Going to throw another short pass. Complete. First down to the 40. Zaffino makes the play. Gain of 13, but again, we want to see Kevin air it out.
Yeah, go over the top. You see some young guys coming into the game now. Eric Moskal has entered the game at wide receiver. He looks to be a big threat next year.
Well, next year it's going to be when Eugene Lowe, Mike Drees, and Dowling graduate. It's going to have to be Troy Zaffino, Eric Moskal, and whoever else would like to step up. And Monahan as well.
Dom Santoro. There's a whole plethora of players to come in.
There always is with this program. They always bring in a host of talent at skill positions. First and 10. Olsen all day to throw. Looks deep for Lowe. Complete to Eugene. Makes the catch at the St. Joe's 18. A wobbler, not a tight spiral from Olsen, but Eugene bobbled it and brought it in for a gain of 22 yards and Wayne Hill's first down. 45 seconds to go.
Again, earlier in the year, we saw that was a go-to guy for Kevin Olsen. Good to see him go back to him now. He's going to go over here to Mike Drees, just way out of reach for Drees.
Well, it just seems like Olsen isn't following his receivers visually right now. He's throwing it to a spot, trusting that his receivers are not going to get jammed, and relying on these timing routes. And if the timing gets broken up, as a quarterback, you have to adjust to it and put the ball where your receiver will be, not where he's supposed to be. I mean, it's easier said than done. I mean, we're sitting up here in the booth. We're not making 35-yard throws down the field against a really good defense. But if you're a starting quarterback for Wayne Hills, you should be able to complete a little bit more of these throws. So 3 or 4 receivers over the middle for Olsen, intercepted. That's going to do it from St. Joe's High School. 29 seconds to go. St. Joe's is one knee away from a big statement win. 35-14. St. Joseph's. I mean, guys, we're going to ditch the post-game show because there's not much to say. So do it right now.
Well, John, I'm really shell-shocked at what happened. I mean, Wayne Hills got off to such a great start, 14-0 in the first 4.5 minutes of the game. But ever since that point, St. Joe's is dominant offensively and defensively.
It was the tale of 2 games, really. Joe Rapp hit it on the head. The first 5 or 6 minutes, Wayne Hills really looked like they were going to blow out St. Joe's. They were up 14-0 as a knee is taken, and that's going to do it for the game. So St. Joe's wins 35-14. That's not going to look good in the papers tomorrow. Really, Wayne Hills, but their worst loss in many, many years. And like Joe said, Wayne Hills looked great. They were off to a 14-0 lead. They were stuffing Andrews. I mean, Anthony, your thoughts on this game in Wayne Valley on Friday?
You know they're going to come out harder than 10 times harder than the Ramapo game. That's the best way I could put it. Valley is a much... I don't even know how to put it. There's no way to describe my feelings right now. I'm upset at this game. I'm upset the way the Hills played, the play calling, and the execution of the plays that were called. And I'm upset to see them go down by 21. And I think the players are upset too. And you're going to see that next week. You're going to see a lot of emotions left on that football field.
Well, I'm going to try to forget it because this Wayne Hills team is going to have to forget this game. Forget everything that happened. Details, don't look back on it at all. It's time to move forward into the playoffs. Wayne Hills is the 1 seed in the North 1 Group 3 state playoffs. They have Wayne Valley in the opening round. And guys, despite what Wayne Hills has done to the other public school teams, these are 2 schools separated by a few miles, the same amount of students, the same sized players. The kids grew up together. It's going to be an emotional game. It's really Chapter 4 of Wayne Hills, Wayne Valley in our high school careers. Chapter 1 was the state championship our freshman year, and then you had regular season matchups the last 2 seasons. So it's going to be an exciting game come this Friday. So I'm looking forward to it. So that's going to about do it here from St. Joseph's High School. With the Green Knights beating Wayne Hills 35-14. For everyone on our broadcast team, John Giardello, our cameraman, Anthony Scudillo, and Joe Rapp, I'm John Vittas saying have a good night.